What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, which on a day which could very well be Frank Day today. We've heard it's either today or tomorrow from Sami Mokbel. And yes, developments have been going on today regarding Frank and his backroom staff. So we heard that the hold-up was bringing over Justin Cochrane from Brentford, former Spurs coach as well. He was coach for the under-16s quite some time ago and left for a role in the English setup, gone to Brentford, worked his way up with Brentford. He has been Frank's number two. I don't know for how long he's been there for as Frank's number two, but at least a couple of years. And he's also recently been appointed as one of Thomas Tuchel's support staff for the England job as well. So a very highly rated coach. David Ornstein and Romano have both confirmed that he will be joining Tottenham now, because there was a bit of, I would say, a tug of war, some journalists were calling it, saying that, you know, he was on the list to become Brentford's new head coach to replace Frank. But it looks like Tottenham have won the tug of war.
Yeah, for a guy which I hadn't heard of probably for a week ago. Look, I'm sure he's very well known within footballing circles and within the people within the game. Clearly, he's very highly thought of. As you say, part-time with Thomas Tuchel. He's been around the block quite a bit with Tottenham and Brentford and very highly thought of at Brentford. In fact, apparently even considered to replace Thomas Frank as head coach of Brentford. That's how highly regarded he is. But I've never seen such a kind of big deal be made of a coach moving over from one club to another, holding up a deal like this. So, I mean, clearly it means that Frank was desperate to bring him with him, and clearly it means that he's very highly regarded. And in fact, apparently, according to reports, Frank sees him as essential to bringing him over to Brentford. Apparently, he's very, very influential when it comes to designing training sessions, and he's very influential in what's called in developing the attackers as well. And obviously he's got experience at Tottenham. He knows a lot of the young players. A lot of people digging up old tweets he's made about some of the younger players who are now, you know, in their 20s and early 20s, who he brought through at Tottenham. People like Dane Scarlett and Alfie Devine, who he was coaching at Spurs. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does coming into Tottenham, coming back to the club that he was at many years ago. And if those relationships with some of the young players are still there, if he wants to use them, if he knows how to use them, how to develop them a lot better than maybe they've been developed recently. But it's very, very exciting and encouraging about how highly regarded he is, Justin Cochrane. And I welcome him to the club. Clearly, everyone's very excited about it. I can't sit here and say I know how he trains, or I've sat in a Justin Cochrane training session, because that's just not been the case. But given all the talk about him, it seems like this guy is quite a coup to have got him in.
Yeah, look, the main thing is, whether you know about him or not, that this thing was holding up the whole deal, and it wouldn't have held up the whole deal if Frank didn't see it as that important for the club or that important for his job moving forward. So I'm delighted with this deal. Like you say, the key thing as well is that he knows the club, he's worked within the club, and he's coming back to where he kind of made his name as a coach. You know, like I said, moving on to England, going to Brentford, and now, you know, you're not going to be a bad coach if you're part of Thomas Tuchel's setup in terms of the England job. So massive news for Tottenham. It looks as though that Chris Haslam and Joe Newton are moving across with him as well. So Joe Newton was the first team analyst, and Chris Haslam was the head of athletic performance for Brentford as well. So he's bringing across 3 coaches with him that we know of right now. No mention of the set-piece coach, which everyone was saying, you know, you need to get in this set-piece coach because he's done so well for Brentford over the past couple of years. But those are the 3 guys that are coming across with him. Yeah,
which obviously is a big part of Thomas Frank's success, was how they were coaching on the training ground, and everyone on the same page, kind of working together. We'll talk about the boardroom, but obviously the coaching staff. Chris Haslam has been working at Brentford for over 10 years, it says here, across 2 different tenures. And so he's been with Thomas Frank ever since Frank was there. So he knows him very, very well. And Joe Newton, it says here, Newton was in Tranmere Roma's academy before he was released in 2014 and enrolled in sports science degree at Wrexham. During his time at uni, he registered in Wrexham's squad but spent time on loan. But he said he completed his master's in performance analysis at the University of Chester, worked for the Welsh top flight for the New Saints. He then joined Brentford's first team performance analyst in 2019, and he is responsible for producing reports and post-match analysis on how the team has performed. And Newton has forged a very strong bond with Frank over the past 6 years. So he's going to be head of the analysis, and that's obviously maybe something we need to work on, because maybe our analysis hasn't been strong enough. But look, he's clearly done a great job with Brentford, so let's hope it translates.
Yeah, look, Thomas Frank, like I said, for Cochrane, wouldn't bring people over that he didn't think are really important and really vital to move forward in his role at Tottenham. So look, we're going into a new era now. The Frank era is nearly upon us. I think, yeah, the announcement could very well come today, but it's definitely by latest tomorrow. So that is... that's the main thing, and I can't wait to see him in his first interview. I can't wait to see him in the Spurs tracksuit and everything like that. And yeah, we're in for an exciting summer ahead and an exciting season ahead, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hope so. I think when it comes to how he's going to develop the players, bring in new systems and all this kind of stuff, and get some fresh eyes on this squad, reprofile some of the players, get us more organised, more compact, harder to beat. 100%. I think that's exciting. Whether we're going to have an exciting summer, loads of transfers, big money signings, I think for me the jury's out on that. I'm not sure how exciting the summer's going to be from that sense. That's just a feeling I get. But look, we don't know that.
Whether it's a summer of exciting signings or not, the summer's still going to be exciting in anticipation for Frank Ball next season.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't wait for the first pre-season game, lead up to the Super Cup. And that's going to be his first competitive game. So I think the new era of Frank is exciting. I think it's a good choice, sensible appointment.
I like that tone. You're sounding a bit more excited now.
I'm excited for him, but I'm not excited for how the club are going to back him. Would be my point. I get a feeling they've brought him in because they think he can overperform given the wage budget. That's, I think, a big reason why he's been brought in. Obviously not the only reason, but I think, let's be honest, if Brentford's wage budget was different and they played the same way, there's a good chance he wouldn't have been brought in. I think a big reason is because they're the lowest wages and they overperform consistently. And that's a great thing, don't get me wrong. Not a criticism of Frank whatsoever. But I think knowing Daniel Levy, he'll be licking his lips at that and thinking, maybe I won't have to spend as much as I thought, given bringing him in.
Yeah, whether he ever thought that he was going to spend that much is a different question altogether. But that is about Frank. We've got a couple of transfer stories to bring you as well. Tom Colomose says that it's worth keeping an eye out for interest from Tottenham in Morgan Gibbs-White, as interest in the player from Manchester City has seemed to have cooled. They have brought in Tijani Reinders and Ryan Cherky now, so that makes complete sense on the Man City front. But Morgan Gibbs-White is a player that I absolutely adore. I think he's had a stunning season this year for Nottingham Forest. He's been, in my opinion, their best player this season. Everything just seems to go through him. A player that is, quite versatile as well. I would love to see him at Spurs, but I just can't see where the exact fit is for him at Spurs.
Yeah, I guess he can be quite versatile, but his best position is definitely in the 10. I think that is where he's strongest. He can play a bit out wide, but...
so he can play an 8 as well.
Can play an 8 as well. And he obviously would be a lot of money. Obviously, I think there was an opportunity maybe a year ago or 2 years ago when they had the PSR problems. But I don't know if they're going to have that same issues this summer. So what the fee they'll be demanding is top whack for a player who was, nominated for Player of the Year in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So he won't come cheap. If we're spending that kind of money... If my prediction is correct, and I don't think we're going to spend that kind of money on more than maybe a player, maybe 2 if we're lucky, but I got a feeling the kind of money we're talking about for Gibbs-White, we're not going to see that kind of money spent on more than one player. That's what I think. And should that money be spent on Gibbs-White, I don't think that would be the smartest allocation of funds, but I do love Gibbs-White, and I'm not going to complain about bringing him in. He's a brilliant player, and I think for Frank as well, he would be brilliant for Frank in terms of how he fits in.
No, I agree with you in everything that you've said there. If I offered you the chance to sell Kulusevski this summer to bring in a Gibbs-White, would you do it?
Would I sell Decky to bring in Gibbs-White?
I think I would, I actually think I would.
Tough one. Obviously, it's difficult. He's injured right at the moment, and obviously he might have a while to come back. Would I sell him? I don't know if I would. Maybe. I think they're very similar level, to be honest. I think they're very similar level. I think Gibbs White maybe had a more consistent season last season. I think when they're at their best, I thought Decky probably was better when they're at their best, but maybe Gibbs White obviously had a stronger season, but maybe there were reasons for that as well, why Decky's form tailed off rather than it just being how good he is. But obviously I thought Forrest also tailed off a bit, and I thought he tailed off as well, but maybe not as bad as Decky, of course. I think Decky's obviously a bit stronger when he is out wide than Gibbs White, so that makes him a bit more versatile from that front. But I think Gibbs White has that bit more about him, kind of in that 10 role, potentially, than Decky. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
I love Decky. I really do, and I love what he brings to the team. But I'm just looking at, Decky's whole kind of tenure at Spurs right now, and we've just never seen him fulfill his potential over a long stretch of, over the course of a season, really. He first came, unbelievable for the 6 months when he came in. Season after, not that great. Season after that, he's going into his third full season now with us, right? So that would be 3.5 seasons after this one. So I think this year at the beginning of the year probably saw his best in a Spurs shirt, but then again he went off the ball. Did he go off the ball because he's been overplayed and overworked? Probably, but still he did go off the boil.
Yeah, and that's he did, but I think when they're both at their best, I actually think Decky's better. I think he's got a better ceiling than Gibbs White potentially. That's the feeling I get. So if Frank can get that out of him on a more consistent basis, it'll be worth keeping him, I would say.
Yeah, I just feel like as well when you're looking at Frank and what he's about, and how he managed Brentford and stuff, I do feel like Gibbs White potentially would be a better fit for us than a Kulusevski, particularly if you're going to play them both through the middle.
Maybe. I don't see how. Why would he be? What, in the 8 position, you mean, or in the 10?
In the 8, well, I was mainly talking about the 10, but I think that Gibbs White is a lot more creative in the way that he likes to play that 10.
I disagree with that. I don't think he's more creative than Decky.
I think
Decky created one of the most chances in the league last season, even with underperformance.
Yeah, but you've got to look at our tactics as well. Look at our tactics compared to Nottingham Forest tactics.
Okay, but still, we're talking about Decky in a season where he had apparently inconsistent form, he had a drop-off, and he's still one of the higher chance creators in the whole league, even in a period where he was injured as well for 2 to 3 months, wasn't he? So I disagree. I don't think Gibbs White's more creative than Decky.
Do you not think he has that better eye for a killer pass then, more than Gibbs White?
No, not necessarily.
I think he does.
I'm not necessarily. I think they're both good passers.
Yeah, I'm not trying to degrade Decky. I love Decky as a player. I really do, and I'm very happy to keep him on. I just feel like Morgan Gibbs White would be a better fit for us.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think when they're both on top of their game, I think Decky's just as good a fit as Gibbs White.
Fair enough. Well, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you sell a Decky to bring in a Gibbs White? Next up, we're going to talk about a report from The Sun, so take it with a bit of pinch of salt, saying Villa, Newcastle and Tottenham are monitoring developments with Jadon Sancho ahead of a potential move. I mean, I guarantee you now, we ain't bringing in Jadon Sancho, nor do I want him.
No, forget Sancho. I think a year ago, I was probably willing to take a punt on him after the failed move to Man United, and obviously had a really good loan spell at Dortmund in their lead up to the Champions League final. Obviously, he's gone to Chelsea. He actually started off really well, didn't he, at Chelsea? And was thinking, maybe it was a big mistake for Man United to let him go. But tailed off quite badly second half of the season. Albeit, I thought had a fairly decent end to the season in the last few games, but he did tail off in large parts second half. He's now, 24? He's on massive wages. It's another club now in Chelsea who have actively paid money to not sign him permanently, even though his fee was only 25 million. So it's not exactly a massive outlay for a player of his supposed quality. They've decided to, rather than pay 25 million to sign him permanently, they've decided to pay 5 million to not sign him permanently. And in the now back at Man United, for me, I don't see a place for him at Tottenham, and I don't see Tottenham willing to pay those wages.
No, me neither. I think it's a complete non-starter, to be honest. And last but not least, this is an interesting one. Corriere dello Sport are claiming that the agent representing both Vicario and Dragusin has been spotted at Casa Milan for a meeting with Milan officials, where AC Milan have asked for information regarding both the players for a potential switch this summer.
Well, what's interesting is Milan could be set to lose Mike Maignan to Chelsea. I know it's not going to happen now before the Club World Cup, but it's clearly interest there.
Yeah.
And maybe once that Club World Cup is finished and the window reopens, they could revisit that.
And they've also got hefty money in for Tijani Reinders as well.
They've got big money for Reinders. Obviously, they'll get a bit of money for Maignan as well if they do end up sending him to Chelsea. Even if they don't, he's only got a year left. He could go somewhere else. So they could definitely be on the market for a new keeper. Vicario, obviously, part of the leadership group here. He's been here for a couple of years, very highly thought of. I know didn't have a great end to the season last season, especially in the Premier League, but by and large has been really, really good. But he is Italian. Obviously, he's come through at Serie A. I don't know what kind of team he supported when he was younger, but a massive club in Italy like AC Milan, would he look at that and think, wow, I'd love to play for the San Siro every week and play for a club like AC Milan?
He grew up in Udinese.
Yeah, but I don't know who he supported or anything. I don't know. Maybe he's a Milan fan, maybe he's not. Maybe it's got nothing to do with it. But my point is, it's a massive club in Italy. Is he going to be looking at that and thinking, wow, what a opportunity if it came across him? Is Milan a big enough club still to turn his head? Now, we've also got Frank coming in, and I've posited potentially Kinski could be a better fit for what Frank wants to do than Vicario. So is there a potential what happens in summer? I would still say no, because Vicario is still our number one. I think he's going to start the season as a number one, and I don't think he's going to be in a rush to leave. And also, we're going to command a decent fee. We signed him for 17 million. I think we're going to be looking at 40 million at least for Vicario. So I think if Milan sign a keeper, I don't know. Maybe they would be willing to spend 40 million on him, but I think the likelihood it doesn't happen. But I think it wouldn't. I think it might be one to keep your eye on in terms of maybe that one will generally grow. But I don't think it's likely to happen. Dragusin, I think we'll probably want to keep him. But if a good offer comes in, I mean, maybe it would be the right thing.
I disagree with Dragusin. I think we should keep him around. I think Frank would really like him as a centre-back. I think he profiles a lot better than maybe what we're going to look like next season. Yeah, if Andrew was still our manager, I'd agree with you. And I'd probably say, yeah, maybe it is a good time to move him on. But look, he's still a fairly new player within this squad. And like I said, I think Frank will really like him.
How much did we sign him for?
Dragusin, I can't
Was it
remember.
25?
Maybe. But he's still very young as well, and he's got a lot of development to do. People look at Dragusin like he's much older than he is. Like, he's a young defender, and in the system that we're going to be playing, I think he'll look really good in it. And I think when you're looking at the prospect of potentially losing Romero as well, I can't see us letting go of Romero and Dragusin in the same window.
I think if we get a good offer, which means maybe getting a bit of a profit on him, I think we should think about it. I think we should think about it.
Why is that? Do you not think he can develop into a really good centre-back for Frank?
I think he could potentially, but from what we've seen, obviously he's just come back from an ACL as well, so we could be talking about 6 months till he gets back to full fitness as well on top of that. From what I think Frank could do a lot with him, don't get me wrong. I think he definitely is a better fit for Frank than Ange. But I would still consider getting a profit and signing someone else potentially if it's possible, because I do think there's maybe potentially better out there. But I'm not desperate to sell him, but I just think if we get a good offer, I'd also consider it.
Yeah, we're not going to sell Dragusin and Romero in the same window. It's just not going to happen.
No, you're probably right about that.
Happen. And out of the two, Romero's a lot more likely to leave.
But if we can convince Romero to stay, then for sure I'll consider selling Dragusin.
Yeah, I mean, look, it has to be a really good offer, because I think he can go places at Spurs this season, and I think maybe once he does get back into the team, we know he's been on the grass since the back end of last season, so his agent said yesterday in an interview that he's going to be raring to go by the start of the season. Yeah, he might not see him at his best at the start of the season, but he'll get that game time and he'll get more match fit as the season progresses. And I think a lot of Spurs fans are going to start to change their tune on Dragusin once they see him under Frank, because he's a very good defender. So yeah, that is what we have for you for the Tottenham update today. Hopefully, whilst we're on stream today, we are going to get that Frank announcement, and I'm dying for it, man. Just bring it to us already. Like, come on. Surely all the...
What are you waiting for now?
Exactly. Surely all the media duties have been done already, or do you think like they were waiting for that backroom staff to do the media duties?
It's hard to say. I think... I don't know. I've got no idea. It's just pure speculation. Maybe they're done already. I think Frank's the type of guy, if I'm making a prediction, I think Frank's the type of guy, while the deal's not yet signed and there's a hold-up, he's not going to go and act as if he's the manager of Tottenham. And I think doing the media duties would kind of be doing that. So I suspect maybe not, but I could be wrong. That would be my prediction, though.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's hard. It's just hard for anyone to say what's going to happen. But we do know it's going to be an announcement by the end of play tomorrow, I would say. So keep your eyes peeled, because it is coming, people. It is coming.
We did a poll on X about with the news breaking, obviously, that Frank is basically all but a confirmed Tottenham manager. Currently 1,200 votes. Are you happy with the appointment of Thomas Frank? Yes, no, or unsure. Only 3% said no. So only 3% of people are unhappy with the appointment of Thomas Frank. 1,200.
That's good.
Only 3% of votes, or what's called of people who voted, are unhappy with the appointment. 82.6% are happy, and 14% are unsure. So overwhelming happiness at the moment for the appointment of Thomas Frank so far after 1,200 votes.
Yeah. In terms of all the links and the rumours that we've been hearing about potential Brentford players coming over to Tottenham, we've heard Nathan Collins, we've heard Brian Mbeumo, we've heard Mikkel Damsgaard, we've heard Yarmouk, we've heard all these players. I guarantee you now, I highly doubt any Brentford players are going to be coming over. Do you remember when Ange signed and how many we were getting linked to a Celtic player every other day?
Yeah, well, a lot of Asian players as well. We got linked with everyone under the sun, it seemed. I'm going to put the poll in the chat as well. Feel free to take part. Are you excited, or are you happy, I should say, with the appointment of Thomas Frank? Yes, no, or unsure. Get your votes in. 1,300 people in the chat. Yeah, I agree. Although what I would say is it is a bit peculiar that there has been no movement with Mbeumo ever since that Ornstein thing came out a few days ago. Maybe. I mean, how long ago now has it been since Ornstein said he prefers to move to United and they're going to get that deal done? That was like a week ago.
Yeah.
And there's been no movement. We haven't heard anything.
Isn't the hold up with Man United agreeing a fee with Manchester United, though? Hasn't he already agreed?
Whatever it is, there's a hold up.
Right.
And it's a bit peculiar, I would say, that they haven't agreed a deal yet. I'm just saying, maybe he was waiting till Frank gets appointed to see maybe there's a decision to make there.
Maybe.
Just saying.
I hope so. I hope you're right. But I do think he's going to end up at Man United. I'll be happily proved wrong if he doesn't, but I think he will end up there.
I think that's what the logical decision would be right now, based on the information. I'm just saying it's been now a week since we got that bomber from Ornstein. Man United fans celebrating to the high heavens they've got Mbeumo.
Yeah.
We haven't heard of any agreement with Brentford. Yes, we've heard about potential agreements on personal terms, but that's usually the easy part when it comes to transfers. Personal terms agreements rarely mean much, because if you're going in for a player in terms of trying to sign them, usually you've had those discussions already. So there's been no agreement with Brentford. Is there a money problem? What's the hold up? Are they talking about what's called installments, all these kind of things? Are Tottenham willing to give better pay terms? Are we more willing to get a deal done with Brentford for Mbeumo? I don't know, but there is a hold up. Frank's now coming at Tottenham, or about to be confirmed. Is there something going on?
So what you're saying? You're saying he's waiting for the call?
I'm not saying he's waiting for the call. I'm just saying, why haven't we heard anything for a week? No updates. It's gone very quiet. Is my point.
Yeah,
It's gone
I just
very
think it's
quiet.
a negotiation between Brentford and Manchester
Yeah,
United.
I understand, but you usually would hear things. Haven't heard much.
Yeah, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it just comes out of thin air that something gets agreed.
Cunha, we heard about it, and it was like every day it was like the Cunha, loads of stuff going on. We heard about this Mbuemo thing, and it's just gone very quiet now. Gone very quiet.
You have heard kind of random journalists talk about it, just nothing serious and concrete from like the likes of Ornstein and Romano and stuff like that. So, look, I don't know. I think it probably will get done to Man United. But maybe, look, we have heard pretty much all season last year, we heard how cash-strapped Man United were. They put the money down straight on the table for Cunha, which, fair whack of money. What was it, 60, 65 million, whatever it is. Maybe they're just trying to bargain Brentford down a little bit because, like, all this money problems that we're talking about, Man U, and suddenly they're going to splash just 120 million straight off the bat. Don't know. It just seems that seems peculiar to me.
Well, Kieran Maguire was explaining some things with Man United why they've got a bit more money than people think, because they've just basically done some creative accounting, but they've given their losses to another subsidiary company rather than their company, and they've done all these different things, and they've basically just skirted the rules. And it looks like they're actually not in as bad a position as people thought potentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stuff that we have heard in the press, though, is that he most definitely prefers a move to Manchester United than Spurs.
That's what we've heard. He prefers moves Man United. That's where he wants to go. That's what the latest is. And usually when that happens and the club's in negotiation, there's only one outcome. I agree with that. I'm just saying it's been a week since we got that big bomber, and you would have thought the deal would have been a lot closer potentially by now. Look, maybe today, maybe tomorrow we'll get another bomber saying deal's basically agreed and it's all going to go through, and that could have. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's just gone suspiciously quiet, I think. This is what
getting excited on it.
No, I'm just saying it's gone suspiciously quiet. Okay. I'm just pointing something out.
Fair enough. What else have we got to talk about?
So who do we? Go on.
I do think it is so important that these backroom staffers come with Frank. I really do, and it's just a team that he's used to working in, and it's kind of just taking that team that have been so successful at Brentford and trying to recreate that on a higher level at Tottenham. And you've got highly rated coaches coming in here. It's just like we've heard before in the past, haven't we? Ange never really takes backroom staff with him anywhere, but with Conte, it was a pressing issue about his backroom staff, and it's just good that we've seen these guys come across with him.
Yeah, and I think, look, we've put the money down, we're bringing them along, and I think it was the right thing to do considering we've sacked all the staff that Ange. So look, he had to. Let's be honest, it was either bring staff from Brentford or bring a whole new set of staff. So we had to bring staff over. So it would have been ridiculous to have not signed any staff this summer. But in terms of this guy, Justin Cochrane, that's quite seems like it's quite a coup to have got him, and he's going to be the assistant, considering that he was in line or was in a he was one of the options potentially for the job at Brentford, and apparently, according to some reports, he's seen as a world-class coach in the Premier League. Will Brentford consider him as a world-class coach? So this guy, I think, bringing that kind of quality to Tottenham is crucial, I think, and that's been a big problem or a big criticism is some of the coaching. Maybe we've heard little whispers and stuff about thinking the coaches aren't so great at Tottenham and the coaching isn't so good. So having these guys, especially Cochrane, having his methods and his training sessions, all that kind of stuff, hopefully can really help develop a lot of the players. Apparently, he was very important in developing Youngster and Mbuemo.
Yeah, that's true. And I was reading an article as well about him the other day, and they said that the two coaches, which are the two most highly rated coaches coming out of Tottenham over the last 10 years, were him and Kieran McKenna, and the club were absolutely gutted that they moved on at certain points. Obviously, Kieran McKenna's gone on to be a Premier League manager with Ipswich, getting them promoted. Did he get back-to-back promotions, Kieran McKenna, or is it just or he came in the Championship?
back to back. He was in League One.
Yeah, he got back. So I mean, that just shows you what kind of a coach he is. And Cochrane, he's gone on to, work really well with Thomas Frank in a success story there. And off the back of that, he's got a job with Thomas Tuchel in the England setup. So you can see how these guys have really kicked on since leaving Tottenham.
Yeah, and clearly, look, to be fair, Tottenham have actually developed quite a few coaches. Parker was part of the setup as well. Mason obviously has now got a championship job.
Yeah.
So we've got maybe a bit of a knack of developing good quality coaches. Obviously, Cochrane, we'll have to wait and see if he can progress into I think I read a report he does have ambitions of one day being a head coach, but right now he's kind of happy being an assistant.
Well, for him just to be in the running, to be Brentford's new head coach, just tells you everything that you need to know. Like, even if they don't go for him, but just for him to be in that thought process, you know what I mean?
Shows how highly thought of he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And during his spell at Tottenham, it says he helped develop the futures of Noni Madueke, Kyle Walker-Peters, as well as Skip Onuma and Japhet Tanganga. So he knows a lot of these players well, and obviously he's used to coaching great talent. It's interesting that he was part of the development of Kyle Walker-Peters, because obviously there's talk of maybe we could be bringing him back this summer. Do you think with Cochrane here, maybe he'll give him a chance?
Potentially. I mean, I don't know if he still thinks maybe he thinks he's a decent Premier League player, but is he good enough to be part of a squad going into the Champions League this season? That remains to be seen. But the one that interests me more out of those players is Noni Madueke, because obviously Noni Madueke could be out the door at Chelsea this summer. You're looking at potentially Gittins going in there. There's been rumours that Madueke will be leaving. Will he push, or will he ask Frank to push for a deal for Noni Madueke? Because it's clear that we're looking for wingers this summer.
And I said I wouldn't be against it. I like Noni Madueke. And I just think as well, the current market of what we're shopping in, like people, obviously Cunha's now gone and Buemo's probably not gettable. Obviously, are we going to spend a 70 million on an Eze? It's difficult. I think people like Madueke, that's a good option. I don't think that's a bad option. He's still quite young. He's proven at Chelsea that he can be a good player at this level. Obviously, there's problems with inconsistency, but I think if you can get that consistency into his game and improve him, there's a lot of talent there. There's a hell of a lot of talent. And obviously, former Tottenham. So I think it would be a good option. What's quite interesting as well is that Brentford a year ago quite heavily went for Bakayoko. So is that that's obviously one we've earmarked for the last couple of years as someone we would like at Tottenham. I wonder now we're at Tottenham and we have the funds to probably get him in, even though he's not at the best season. Clearly Frank likes him and that their recruitment team identified him. So is that one maybe we go for?
I hope so. I really love Johan Bakayoko. Yes, he didn't have the season this year that he'd had the previous year, but I mean, he was hampered quite a bit by injuries this season, which maybe suggests why he didn't do as well. But I think when you're looking at what a player he is, I mean, he's such an exciting player to watch. Takes on his man at will. Really good shot on him, decent cross on him as well. I think he's one that could do wonders for Spurs, to be honest. And to have him and Brennan Johnson fighting over that right wing spot, I think it provides really healthy competition. I really do. I'd actually prefer. I think bringing in Bakayoko is more of a risk than Noni Madueke, but I feel like the upsides that it can bring could be absolutely brilliant for us.
It says here that just Ali Gold's done an article just now on all the coaching staff coming. It says that Cochrane's thought to be very good friends with Matty Wells. And to be friends with Matt Wells at Tottenham. So obviously that also plays a part because Matt Wells has stayed on. He's also talking about who could potentially join them. I'm wondering if he's going to mention anything about a set-piece coach coming. He says, it's Jorgensen, who left United, is a set-piece coach who has worked with Frank previously before moving on to Arsenal and then United and then Sweden. Has also been mooted as a potential addition to the new Tottenham setup. So he's
not one that was at Brentford last season?
No. Don't think so. I don't think
that guy.
Whoever that was. But maybe he could also be part of the coaches introduced. I think whoever it is, I do think we're going to bring in a set-piece coach. Because I think that's what Frank likes.
Yeah. I was watching the High Performance podcast last night, and one of the conversations that they were talking about, I couldn't remember the the actual term that they used, but they were talking about like having pillars of the squad of mentality. Have you seen? Did you watch the?
I've seen clips of it, but
You haven't seen the whole thing. So on one of he was going through particular players that are in the squad who can be like captains without having the captain's armband, without being in like kind of some sort of leadership role. And he was talking about players like Johan Wissa, Ben Mee, Christian Norgard, obviously, who was the captain. Who do you reckon could be those kind of guys that people look up to at Tottenham that have specific roles without being named as being kind of a specific role? He says it's so important and so vital to the team.
Probably Bentancur. He could have a role. I think Van de Ven potentially. I think we've got a lot of those players, to be honest, who are quite like vocal, but don't have to be, I guess, specific like a captain or in the leadership group. I mean, it depends what role you're talking about, but it's just like who are the leaders without being a leader, basically, without being captain? Is the question.
Yeah, essentially.
Who are the leaders without being captain? Well, we've got quite a big leadership group at the moment. So apart from them, it's already quite a lot.
The leadership group is Sonny, Maddison, Vicario,
Romero,
and two of them could be off.
Yeah, if two of them off, then you have to think about who comes in. But yeah, I think Davis, if he sticks around, he could be one of those players. I think the squad's full of a lot of these players who I think are very good characters.
Yeah, so, I mean, we say that, but then last season we were talking about how poor the leadership is of this team, and we don't have any leaders. That's what one of the big narrative was last season.
Well, maybe it was wrong because we ended up winning the trophy, and we needed leadership for that win. So look, I think a lot of it was we had a lot of problems last season, and I think at points maybe the leadership was a problem, but when you're going through what we were going through last season, like there are just so many. It's not just one thing. Like we were putting it down to there are just so many. There's injuries, there's lack of experience, there's fatigue. There's so many things that led to that awful form that we were going through for large parts of last season. And I think you could put Roy Keane in there. I don't know if the form would have been massively improved. You know what I mean? I don't think the lack of leadership was really the main issue. Look, maybe there was that part of it, don't get me wrong. But I don't think pointing to last season and saying we were there because of a lack of leadership is the correct
That's just
assessment.
what we were saying.
I know, but we were saying a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're all right, in my opinion. And I think that the leadership group showed near the end how a lot of them, especially Romero, and how we stuck together and how we got ourselves to that trophy through a lot of it through sheer will, willing to get there. I think I did show leadership near the end.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Potentially. Ali Gold says that there's a suggestion that Stuart Lewis, who's the academy coach, to be part of Thomas Frank's staff next season.
Academy coach of Brentford?
No, Tottenham's academy
academy coach.
Yeah, which is really interesting because obviously we know the success story of the academy at the moment. Under 21s doing absolutely brilliant last season. A lot of them gone on in terms of their loan spells to have really good loan spells this season. That sounds like a positive.
Yeah, and maybe it's reward for a lot of good work he's done because, as you said, like we had this golden generation last year, or 2 years ago now, I guess you can say. I always get confused. Is last year the one that's just been, or is that 2 years ago now?
We're still at the end of the season.
Still at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of get the feeling once the Champions League final's gone, that's now last season, and the season before is 2 years ago. Anyway, sidetrack.
I kind of look at it as when 1st of July hits, I start calling it last season.
1st of July, okay. Fine. Last season, we had that golden generation, under 21s, right, who blitzed that division, who were brilliant, playing beautiful football and a lot of excitement. Now, the question was, I guess, last year, or this year, was it just a bunch of good players who were playing well at youth level, or is this seriously a golden generation full of talent? And I think on their loan spells, by and large, they've proven this is a real golden generation. These are real, seriously talented kids who are all going to go a long way. So I think he has to take a lot of credit for that, and a lot of credit for how he's developed these players and how good they all look and how they're all basically playing men's football, a lot of them anyway, and thriving and doing very, very well. And he's had a large say in that. So I think if he can bring that kind of level to the first team, that's something that could massively benefit us. So that's also quite interesting that we're looking to add him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, a lot of people need to take credit for the emergence of the Spurs Academy over the last couple of years. And I think everyone involved, really. I think you look at 10, 20 years ago, I can't remember how long it was. I think it was a significant time ago, though, because the Spurs hierarchy pumped a lot of money in terms of regenerating the academy. And then it wasn't really aligning with the first team at that moment in time, and it took quite a while to get there. And I think once Paratici came in and started making significant changes at that level, you've really started to see it kind of streamline now, and a lot of talent starting to come through. The ways that the academy plays all through for youth level to the under-21s to the first team, all started to be aligned under Ange Postecoglou. Now we got Frank. I still think it will be somewhat aligned because the way Frank wants to play is still high pressing, playing out the back and attacking football. So I think Spurs have got it right in terms of the way the academy is now run after so many years of it pretty much failing. Because how many years were we saying, like, where's all the talent in the under-21s? Where's the next kind of Harry Kanes? Under Pochettino, we had a few come through, but if you actually look at the players that came through under Pochettino, none of them really have gone on to make a real success for themselves apart from Harry Kane.
The ones who came through under Poch.
You got Winks, you've got Skip that came through a bit later. Yeah, they've gone on to play Premier League football, but we all thought they were going to be a lot better than.
I think anyone who comes through the academy,
no, that's true,
who goes on to play Premier League is a success.
No, that's true. But then, that is very true. But you're looking at players like Nabil Bentaleb. We all thought they were going to be a lot better than they were.
It was hard to know. We obviously have
Ryan
hopes,
Mason as well, but he was injured.
Yeah, he was a Premier League. We sold him for what, 8 million? We got a good fee for him. Yeah.
Did we sell him?
We sold him to Hull.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we sold him to Hull for I think 8 million, something like that. So that's money we got.
No, you're generated. 100% spot
on. So that's most players in the academies don't even make it.
But what I was going on to say is, from then until now, we've seen nothing.
Yeah, it's true. Under Mourinho, Conte, Tanganga's obviously gone on to play for Millwall. Skip we sold to Leicester. But these are, slim pickings at the moment in terms of players we've really brought through. I'm trying to think. Scarlett made his debut under Mourinho in 2020. We're still talking about him, breaking through.
Well, he's only 20.
I know, I'm just saying, it's like that's kind of where we're at. Like, we're still talking about the same kind of people for a while, it seems. Although recently it's been an influx of really good talent. Since Poch left, not too many. Obviously, Sirkin left for Sunderland.
Under Poch, right? Or was he under? No,
I think Mourinho sold him.
Yeah.
Mourinho sold him. Not many. Not many have had a look in really in the first team until recently, until this season, when now it's like Mikey Moore and stuff. So we need to do a better job, 100%. But I think we are doing that. Yeah, we are doing a better job.
That's what I'm saying. It's got a lot better since Paratici has come in, and he did a lot of work on the academy, bringing in new coaching staff and all this kind of stuff. So I think a lot of credit goes down to him as well.
Interesting looking at this coach that we're talking about, the set piece coach, Andreas Jorgensen. So he was at Man United the season that's just been, and he was their set piece coach, and they had one of the worst set pieces in the league last season. I think they conceded the most from corners. So him being a set piece coach for us after that is he was assistant manager, it says here, to Arteta in 2020 for 2 years.
In their worst period.
Until 2022, which is when we beat them to top four. So that was when, I guess you can say one of their worst, the worst period, early on. Obviously, he was assistant manager at Brentford, it says here, under Frank for 2 years. He was manager at Lillestrøm last season, for 18 games. Also set-piece coach for 6 months with Southampton. That was when they were in the Championship. Head of first-team football at Malmo. But yeah, he's not the set piece coach that has. Maybe when he was at Brentford, because they were very good at set pieces then. Maybe he really helped develop them. But they're in the Championship then.
Yeah.
They were in the Premier League.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if Frank wants to bring him in, I'm going to fully back it. But not a great track record last season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather the guy who was their set piece coach last year. Matt Wells and Rob Birch were not amongst the members of the coaching staff who dismissed, as they were at the club before Ange, but it remains to be seen if Frank will bring them onto the coaching staff.
Oh, I was under the impression that Ange brought in Rob Birch. Was he there beforehand?
I thought he did bring him in, didn't he? When did Rob Birch? I swear he joined Signs Tottenham. I thought it was under Ange. 27th of June. Oh, so it was just before Ange was appointed? Because he joined on the 27th of June.
Well, Ange...
Oh, no, it says under newly appointed head coach Ange.
Well, Ali Gold's got that one wrong then. Because Ange came in, it was his 2-year anniversary, wasn't it, on Friday when he got sacked?
When he got sacked, which was what the day?
The 6th of June.
Yeah, which is before. Yeah, 6th of June. So he was joined on the 27th. So yeah, that's not true. Although obviously he was a Tottenham keeper back in the day, very young keeper, but I don't think that's what he's referring to. So yeah, that's not true about Rob Birch. But yeah, Matt Wells.
It's true about Matt Wells.
Yeah, he's very highly thought of as well.
Yeah,
at Tottenham.
Yeah. Any time now, next 24 hours, 100% is coming. But any time now that this announcement is going to come, I just want it to come already.
People have been liking Cochrane's old tweets.
Yeah, shall we go and have a look at them?
There's just a few of them, but
bring on X so we can see.
So old tweets that Cochrane's been liking. This was Cochrane in Brentford training session. Being. Huh?
He says rebound before.
Oh, rebound. Told you. I see. He knows what's about to happen. Very clever.
So this tweet here is from March 24, 2019, and he says the new Tottenham Stadium is, and he gives thumbs up. It was great watching a lot of the players I signed and work with play at this new stadium today.
So there you go.
So what game was this? Was this the? This must have been. Was this the first game at the stadium when the academy
March 24.
Played? Oh, March 24.
March 24. No.
This
March
is March
24th.
2019.
No, March 24th, not 24.
Oh, 2019.
I'm trying to think of when we moved into the stadium. Was it April of that year?
Yeah, so this test event would have been then.
Yeah, that was probably a test event, yeah.
Yeah, that was the test event probably when the academy played against Southampton.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I think you're right about that.
So that must have been that game. He went on and quoted Dane Scarlett's tweet about happy to be on the pitch after such a long time out injured. And he says, nice to see 2 young players feature for the first team who have been with the under-16 national team since last season. What a year for Alfie. Dane, I've seen closely since 9. He has a lot of potential. Both are hard-working, humble and talented.
So he might, if he's been working with Dane since he was 9, and he's similar age now to Donnelly, isn't he, Dane? So maybe he knows people like Donnelly. Maybe he knows
obviously
Divine.
Donnelly... he might have worked with Donnelly in the Tottenham setup, but not the national team setup, obviously.
Not the national team setup. Right, yeah. So maybe these few academy players, obviously he knows very well. Maybe he'll kind of, because those relationships might be closer, he'll know their qualities a bit more. Maybe that could lead to some surprises or more opportunities.
I hope so. I really hope so, because... I'd love to see the likes of Jamie Donnelly and Alfie Devine get their chance, because you look back at pre-season last year, these 2 players really stood out, even when they were alongside the first team. How many times were we saying when the first team would start and then the kids would come on in the second half? The kids were a lot better than the first team in pre-season.
Well, in theory, we've got the best guy for it, if that's what we want. If we want a bit more of that.
Yep. 100%.
We've got a guy there who's worked with them, and obviously he's a great coach, and he'll know how to use them potentially.
And on top of Cochrane, potentially the academy coach coming in to assist with that as well.
Do you reckon we're going to be?
So you have a lot of believers in them.
So maybe we'll be maybe you're going to be seeing a lot more youngsters in the first team potentially.
Maybe, and that goes in line as well with what you were saying before about bringing in Frank and this team to not spend too much money.
But I also feel like, first of all, I do think that's true, but I'm not necessarily saying that as like a thing to criticise Frank or anything. I'm just saying...
But you're using it as a thing to criticise Levy with.
Potentially, which is fair, but as well, that's what it might take to give these youngsters a chance. You're going to have to actually give them a chance, aren't you? And I feel like last season, obviously, we did play a lot of youngsters, but a lot of it was due to injury. But obviously, look, we played them, and a few of them developed. But people like Donnelly, people like Lancashire, people like Abbott, people like Vuskovic, Phillips, like they're never going to get a chance unless you give it to them and you trust them to actually be part of the squad. And I know it's on paper,
but they are still very young.
I get it, but I know on paper it's like tough to justify putting them in a squad when we've got Champions League and stuff. But sometimes, if you look, I agree, it's about whether they're ready or not, and the coaches are the best place to make that decision. But I think we've got to as well not get angry if they choose to kind of rely on these players more. Because is that not what we want? We have to decide what we want. Do we want them to get a chance and be relied upon more, or do we want big money signings and sign our way out of trouble? Because both things can't be true, I feel.
I think it has to be the right timing. That's what it all comes down to. And I think ideally I do want them to get a chance, but only if they're ready. And I think Donnelly, the highest level he's played is at League One, done very well. Is he ready to come straight in and play Premier League football straight off the bat? Or does he need another loan in the Championship to play week in, week out? Is it going to hurt his development if he's going to be in the first team and just not play that much football next season? I mean, it's all about what's best for the boys at the end of the day.
I agree with you, but these players, if they're going to be ready, they need time on the pitch at this level to kind of get ready and get that experience. Like they need to go.
It doesn't have to happen now, though.
It doesn't have to happen now, but it has to happen at some point.
Yeah, of course it has to happen at some
point.
point.
And the sooner the better, really. I think. Like Archie Gray, he's had a tough last 6 months last season. It was tough, but he'll learn from that and he'll be a better player for it. But you kind of have to go like Bergvall. His first 6 months with Tottenham was tough. And he had to make some mistakes. He had to have problems, and then he learned from it. And now look at him.
But each and every case is completely different.
I know. There's some players who hit the ground running, like Rashford on his debut scored twice, and all of a sudden was an instant hit. That can happen as well. But most of the time, youngsters come in, and it takes time before they're ready. But if you keep delaying that, the opportunity to very rarely do you just bring a youngster in and they're ready immediately. Very rare. It happens, but it's rare. It's not often that happens. Look at Foden. It's taken him years before he was fully ready at Man City to be the player he is. It took him a long time. So I feel like if you keep signing players, then they're never going to get the chance. That's the truth. But we also need to sign players to compete. But maybe if we gave these youngsters that chance and give them that time, they could become ready.
What does giving them that chance and giving them that time mean?
Being part of the squad. Instead of signing like a Gibbs White, you put Donnelly in there. Instead of signing a midfield, like instead of, signing a striker, you put Scholar in there. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying, and if obviously if we believe they're good, but if we always keep talking about giving these players chances and wanting to bring in the academy, but you have to make sacrifices to do that. It's not just a simple thing. To do that, you have to sacrifice either some results or not signing a player in certain positions so that you bring them through and you give them time to be ready for the first team.
I just kind of feel like I'm just looking at their development more than anything. And yeah, and I agree with you, if you do give them the chances, they'll get ready and fast track it a bit more. But are they going to get the required amount of chances, or is it going to be them just being on the bench and getting 5-10 minutes at the end of games? What's going to be more valuable for them in their development? Is it going to be coming on and playing 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or is it going to be going to a championship side and playing week in, week out, playing a lot of minutes? Because I feel like a player of that age just needs to be playing football. I'm
talking about them being a rotation option. That's my point. Being part of the squad. It's not about. I'm not talking about them Obviously, they're not going to be first choice unless, like Bergvall, they fight their way into it. But like Bergvall, perfect example. He was a rotation option. Obviously, he was in Europa League, so it's maybe a bit of a different kettle of fish. But he was a rotation option, right? But he was getting regular starts and regular game time in that season, and then by January, he stepped in and got forced to start. But he all of a sudden became ready and he acclimatized. Now, that is kind of, I feel like, how you bed in young players.
But we don't have the Europa League this year to do that.
That's the problem. I agree with you. We don't. But then we got to stop saying we want to bring in these youngsters because we're not going to do it. If we keep getting Champions League, then we're never going to do it.
Maybe not this season, but if they keep proving their worth as they move up the levels, then they will come in and be used.
If they keep proving their worth as they move up the levels, but they're always going to have the question mark unless they got Premier League experience. Are they ready for the Premier League?
I mean, it's a bigger question mark doing it in League One than if you're going to do it in the Championship as a 20-year-old and have a really strong season in the Championship as a 20-year-old and come back to Tottenham. You've obviously got a lot more behind your belt than playing at League One for a season.
So should we bring Phillips in?
I mean, I'm all for bringing Phillips in. I've been one of Phillips' biggest advocates. I've been saying that that Phillips should be moving up to a Premier League side, whether it be a Premier League team on loan or being part of our squad next season. I'll be all for that for sure.
But would you criticise Levy if we decided Phillips would be part of the squad and then immediately he's not ready?
You're looking at our centre-back options next season. We don't know what it's going to look like with Romero staying or not. If Romero does stay, you've got Romero, Dragusin, Kevin Danso, potentially even Ben Davis. Anyone else there? Van der Ven as well. You've got 5 centre-backs that are all going to be above the pecking order than Ashley Phillips. It's up to Ashley Phillips. If he's good enough, he'll fight his way in. And I would give him chances in the Cup, especially the early rounds, and it's up to him to see what he's about. I think he can. I think he can do it. I really do. I believe in his talent so much. I think for such a young player, he's got such a big frame. He's so physical. He looks like someone that is a lot older than he actually is. Would I criticise Levy for not signing another centre-back? No, because he's got 5 centre-backs above him.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see kind of how they want to deal with those youngsters. But I just feel like if we've got so much talent, at some point, you're going to have to make a choice. Do we focus on bringing in some of it, or do we keep signing our way out of trouble? And those are choices we're going to have to make.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot of positions to not sign someone in.
I'm not saying all of them. Just saying certain. Depends who's ready, who's more ready than.
Because let's say we bring in Jamie Donnelly to the first team next season. Like, where do you see him fitting in next season when you've got Kulusevski and Maddison there? Where is his minutes going to come from?
Cup games and also Premier League games as well potentially. Depending, but obviously Decky's going to be out till September probably at least anyway. But
at the minimum, yeah.
At the minimum, he might need time to bed in. So if we're talking about but my point is, do you bring in a third number 10, or do you give Donnelly a chance? That's the kind of decision you have to make. If you bring in that third number 10, is Donnelly ever going to get a chance at Tottenham? Maybe not.
I would love nothing more than Jamie Donnelly to come in next season and be given a chance and be given a go. But all I'm saying is I feel for his development, it's probably best for him to go to a Championship side under a Ryan Mason, under a Chris Davis that really believe in his talents to play week in, week out and absolutely just go and smash that league out.
I kind of agree. It's better for his development, but we always complain about not giving enough chances and stuff to academy players and bringing them through. And I'm just saying that comes with a bit of sacrifice if you do that, I think.
Yeah, but look, I agree with you. Like you do need to give them a chance at some point. Does that some point need to be this season with the age that they're at? At some point, it does need to happen, of course, 100%. And it will happen. I'm pretty certain of it. If they keep going in the trajectory that they're going on, there is no chance it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but my point is, let's say we send Donny on loan this season, and we say, okay, you're not quite ready. We think you're better for your development. You go on loan, and then we sign another player in that position, and we have 3. Like signing Eze, let's say, or Gibbs White. Yeah, he's never going to get a chance. That'll be it. We have to sell him because he's never going to get a chance ahead of those 3.
I think it's up to him. This ain't no handouts or give me. He'll get the chances if he deserves it.
He won't if he's got Eze, Maddison, and Kulusevski there.
He will if he deserves it.
He
if
won't.
he
Even
applies,
if he deserves it, there's no chance he'll get it.
he will get it. If the coaching staff really believe that he's going to be, a really big player, and he's got the potential to be, up there, then they'll give him the chance. Of course they will. They're not going to stunt his development. He'll have to fight his way in there. Don't get me wrong. And if he's that good, then he'll be able to do that.
It's not as simple as that. Sometimes,
it is.
no, it's not. It's not. Sometimes you're very good, but you've got three players who are obviously we know are Premier League ready and are great, and you've spent big money on, right? And however good Donnelly is, he's never going to get a look in over those three, however good he is, because you've already invested so much in these big three, and they're probably, I'm going to assume they're playing well and they're doing a good job because they're three very good players, right? In Decky, Maddison.
You never know what can happen over the course of a season. Bergvall only started playing in the Premier League because of injury. Very easily Maddison could get an injury. Call on.
But he was brought in, right? But as a player that we were going to give first team minutes to.
Mm-hmm.
He was brought. We brought him in as part of the first team. He was rotating with Sarr and other players. He was one of the number 8s that we were going to turn to. Donnelly would never be that if we signed another number 10 for big money.
So do you not think Frank would not work on a meritocracy basis? And if Jamie Donnelly gets given a go in a cup competition and he completely smashes it, you don't think he's going to get more chances?
He would never get the go
Premier
if
League?
we had three number 10s. Is my point.
But anything can happen over the course of a season. Injury, players being off form.
My point is we would never put him in the squad. We would never have him as part of the squad.
If he's around, there would be.
I'm saying he wouldn't. We would loan him out, or we would sell him probably if we signed another player.
I don't know, man. It depends how much he believes in his talent.
Who, Frank?
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff.
Agreed.
That's what it all comes down to. And if Frank doesn't believe in his talent and he doesn't think he's going to be a big player, then it'll probably be right to sell him.
But sometimes it's timing. He can be great and he can be someone who really believe can be part of the first team, but there's just no it's just a timing thing. How can we, he might be potentially better than one of those three, but right now he isn't. So how can you justify putting him in? You can't. But if you gave him the time, he could be. But right now you've got three players who are currently better than him, so he's never really going to get the opportunity because whenever one of those three is injured or whatever, it's going to be the other one of those three playing.
True, but if a player's injured and the other one's playing, and then Jamie Donnelly comes on for the last 20 minutes and absolutely smashes it out in a Premier League game.
My point is you're never going to have 4 number 10s in your squad.
No, but these players are also very versatile. Eze can play on the left and the 10. Jamie Donnelly can play in a couple of different positions as well. It's not always as just black and white as that. It's never as black and white as that in football. There's always opportunities that seem to come around, whether it be through injury or in different positions.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know what can happen.
I know that. I'm just thinking, if we signed another number 10, the likelihood is Donnelly will never get an opportunity. That's the likelihood.
Well, we can agree to disagree, I guess, because I think if he deserves the opportunities, he'll get it. But yeah, it's what it is. Well, let us know what you think in the comment section below. But we've got 1,500 people in here with us. 1,500 people. 234 likes only though, so smash those like buttons.
Poll time on the chat. 1,400 people voting. Are you happy with the Thomas Frank appointment? 77% says yes. 7% says no. 16% say unsure. So at the moment, 77% are happy with Thomas Frank. Only 7% are unhappy. So most, if anything, most people are either unsure or happy. Vast majority.
Mm.
So it seems as though we did a poll, didn't we? A week ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Before Frank before Ange was sacked, I should say. Do you want to keep Ange, appoint Frank, or appoint someone else? I think it was 60% keep Ange. I think the lowest, here it is. There was 7,000 votes. 67% keep Ange, 15% appoint Frank, and 18% appoint someone else. So more people said appoint someone else than appoint Frank.
I think since that moment in time, everyone's consumed all the Frank content that
And
they could
now
possibly
everyone says they're happy with
consume.
Frank.
I think the Frank content all on the internet is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've been loving it. I've been loving life watching all this Frank content. And it's actually such an eye opener of how good of a coach he actually is.
Yeah, and the videos of him coaching, his man management. He's definitely, as I've said continuously, he's definitely someone you'll be able to get behind, and he's definitely someone you can buy into. And he's definitely someone who I think can get people on board very quickly. And actually, I'm reading as well about Cochrane. Apparently, he's very good at building relationships with the players, and kind of getting on their side and stuff like that. And he could be quite vital at this current moment, when we're at a time where, Andrew's been sacked and a lot of the players are quite close to him and all these different things. I think Cochrane and Frank have got a bit of a job. I don't think it's an impossible job, but they've got a bit of a job to, just get everyone back on side very quickly. But I think if anyone's capable of it, they're the perfect kind of guys to do it.
What I was going to ask you is, I've seen a bit of rumours doing the rounds in the press saying John Duran unhappy in Saudi. Apparently, he's looking to leave potentially on loan this summer. Would you take him?
Will I take him on loan?
Or would he be a dickhead?
I think he's a bit of a dickhead, but has a great left foot, doesn't he? I like John Duran. He was brilliant for Villa last year in the first half of the season. Unbelievable hammer of a left foot. I'd probably take him on loan, but is a loan deal what we want right now? Do we want, unless it's got like an option to buy, we want to be thinking of the future. We don't want to be just taking loan deals for no reason. But yeah, I think if he's available, I'll definitely be thinking about signing him. I think he also offers something a bit different to what we have. Great super sub. He's a brilliant super sub. Yeah, I think about it. I'll think about it seriously. I like John Duran a lot.
Yeah, it's just in terms of signing him permanently. Look at those wages he's on. Probably on fucking monstrous wages. Is he gonna? I mean, I guess no one's ever gonna offer him those wages, are they?
No.
So
you go to Saudi because you're not going to get the wages anywhere else. That's
exactly. So, like, I guess if you go to Saudi and you're desperate to get out there and go back to England, you'd probably accept the wage cut.
Yeah, well, or maybe subsidised if it's a loan deal. But I don't know if the Saudis be willing to do that. Maybe they will.
Depends how desperate they are to get him out. I just don't think it's gone well for him over there.
I'm seeing you got on your screen there, Christian Eriksen. Would any chance, if we can get him back to the Tottenham form, he comes back to Tottenham?
That ship sailed, man. That ship has sailed.
He was brilliant under Thomas Frank, though, wasn't he, at Brentford?
He was, yeah. That was a good few years ago now, though.
That was 2022, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think that ship sailed. Nah, I'd rather give Jamie Donnelly the chance.
I agree, but what if Frank's like, look, bit of experience, a bit of an older head, still got the qualities. If he feels like he can still do the job, would you be massively against it?
I wouldn't say. Look, I'm willing to go in whatever whatever direction he wants to go in. So I'm not going to be Frank out because he wants to bring back Eriksen. I just think it's not the greatest idea. I feel like, wrong end of his career. Didn't fill me with much confidence when I watched him at Man United last season. I just think he's well past his sell date. I felt like they didn't know how to use him. Yeah, maybe. But how old is he now?
33 maybe? 32?
33. Like, nah, we're not bringing back Eriksen, I guarantee you that.
Eriksen, Tottenham. He is 33, yeah. 33. Yeah, he was brilliant when he went to when he was at Brentford, though, for that year, 6 months, under Thomas Frank. He also a bit of a profile we don't really have. Maybe he can reinvent himself a bit as a bit of a...
What, at 33 years of age?
Yeah, why not? Pirlo reinvented himself at that age.
Come on, you're talking about Pirlo. You're talking about Pirlo here.
This is Eriksen, mate.
Yeah, this is not Pirlo.
Not Pirlo, but he's not a bad player, is he? Once one of the best midfielders in the league.
Yeah, but you're talking about one of the best midfielders of all time.
Yeah, but still, I'm not saying he's in the same ballpark, but I'm saying quality-wise, Eriksen is more than enough quality to reinvent himself. Why not?
Nah, I think...
His passing range is phenomenal.
You want him back then?
Do I want him back? I would say right now I don't. I'd rather go for someone younger. But I'm saying he is a profile we don't have. And if you can get some runners around him, like get him spraying passes left and right, and setting the tone from centre mid, maybe there's something to be done there. Because Frank knows how to use him.
Mm-hmm.
Frank knew how to use him at Brentford. He went to United. For anyone who's another, look, United are a mess. Let's be honest. Players go there, they do terribly, and they leave and do really well. It's been the pattern of Man United. So it's hard to judge a player on how they do at Man United right now. But I don't know. I think it's not. I wouldn't do it right now. But if we're desperate, maybe that's something we can look at.
Desperate for what?
For a bit of a passing guy who can pass like Eriksen.
Where would he play in our team?
He'd probably play maybe back up to Madison, or
Isn't
maybe
that
someone
Kulusevski?
deeper, or maybe play a bit deeper.
Don't we have enough?
Experience?
Don't we have enough midfielders?
Probably. Yeah, probably do. But we need a passer.
I don't know, man. I think you've lost the plot talking about Christian Eriksen coming back to Spurs.
I don't think I've lost the plot. I reckon he could have a bit of a renaissance if done right. Check Fab's tweets. What's he been saying?
Nothing about Tottenham. Oh, yeah, he's done a tweet saying Justin Cochrane has now approved the contract as a new Spurs assistant coach. Cochrane will leave Brentford despite club making an effort to keep him, as he wants to join Thomas Frank at Tottenham. He will continue his involvement with England national team coaching staff. And a questionable picture that Fab has used with him hugging Declan Rice.
Oh, come on, Fab. He's just trying to rile us up.
He knows what he's doing there, Fabrizio. But yeah, it looks all set to go, man. All set to go. All we're waiting for now is the announcement. That is literally it.
Who do we think are going to be the winners and losers of this appointment in the squad?
Winners, I think Dom Solanke is going to be a winner for sure. If Matisse Tell comes back, I think he could be a winner as well. To be honest, I think the majority of the squad could be winners under Frank. Going back to your point about Vicario, I think he could be one of the losers. I can't really think of many other players that are going to be losers under Frank. Maybe an Odebear, but I don't know.
I think, yeah, Odebear a bit. I've got a bit of reservation about him, although Frank has clearly wanted a bit of a dribbly winger at Brentford, and he hasn't been able to get one in. But he wanted Bakayoko, he wanted Nusa. Didn't get either of them, and he obviously had to stick with what he had. But he kind of wanted one.
Could we go for a Nusa?
He's going to be a lot more expensive now. But,
yeah, now he will.
Yeah, he failed a medical at Brentford, but I don't know. How's his injury record been at Leipzig? It's been all right.
I think it's been decent.
So, I mean, I think he's got quality, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Guy's quality. Maybe we'll start looking at him again, but he's going to cost like 50 million now. Got 7 goal contributions last year. Played 25 games. Doesn't sound too bad. Well, not loads, I guess, but let's see. He did have a knee injury last year. That kept him out for quite a bit.
But wasn't the problem something in his back?
Yeah, I can't remember.
But I think the majority of the squad could be, because we went through the tactical setups yesterday, and I was just going through that. I was just thinking like the majority of these players here, I think, could all work so well under Frank. It's just the biggest concern is the playing out the back from Vicario. I think that is, in terms of who's going to be the losers in this squad.
Yeah, I think he might be a bit of a loser. I'm trying to think. I think the fullbacks should be all right. I think both of them, Udogie and Porro, should be fine.
Right. I think they can flourish.
I think they should be fine. They should be good. Romero, Van der Ven, I don't see a massive problem there. Centre back in terms of their profile.
But even Danso and
Dragusin as well. Midfielders, I think moving to a double pivot, having Bentancur, Bergval there should be fine as well. Although what I might say is about Bergval is I actually think the number 8 position for him under Ange suited him really well. And moving to a double pivot when he's going to be a bit deeper, less in the final third. Is that going to be a problem? Probably not. I think he's probably going to adjust to it really well, actually, I would say. But I like to see him a bit more in the final third. But
also, the number 8 under Frank does still get forward quite a bit. It's not like that only in the central areas. I mean, I've seen, Jensen pop up in those areas loads of times and get goal contributions, get, loads of shots on goal.
Yeah, it's a game of football. He's not going to exclusively stay in one position, I'm sure, but it's about how much time he spends in certain positions. I think he will be spending a bit less time in the final third than he was before, but I don't think it's necessarily a problem.
No.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem. Maddison, I think should be a winner as well. I think should improve, given a bit more freedom, can move kind of either direction, pick up more assists and stuff.
The thing is, right, Ange for the most part at Tottenham compared to Frank is going to find ways to play to these players' strengths, whereas for the most part, Ange was trying to fit them into a system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be the big difference here. And I think that's as well another reason why a lot of these players are going to be winners under Frank.
Yeah, because he plays to mask their weaknesses and heighten their strengths. That's how he does. Whereas Ange will try and he has a certain way of playing, and he wants to, and you have to fit into that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not bad. I mean, other managers do that as well. It's not, you have to have a very high quality level of player to make it work. And clearly, we weren't there. What about Archie Gray?
Yeah, Archie's an interesting one because I don't see where he naturally fits into this team.
Maybe in a double pivot would be better than in that lone 6 role where he struggled a bit.
Maybe. I can't see him. Well, maybe at right back being one of the more reserved kind of right backs.
That means what? Maybe not signing a fullback this summer.
Potentially.
Just going with Archie Gray again.
Which could mean that. But I just don't see a natural place for him. Is he going to be another a utility season for him? Are we going to give him a loan? But I mean, look, Frank clearly believes in his talents because he tried to sign him at Brentford. So I'm sure Frank is going to have a plan for him.
Funny thing is, I also think Brendan Johnson, I've got question marks about him. I know Frank wanted him, but I wonder what role he wanted him for. Because I think playing in that right wing role, how Mbeumo played it, is not going to suit him, I don't think, in my opinion. I think because he likes his wingers to kind of get into the final third, be a bit more central, kind of make those dinked crosses to the far post and stuff like that. I don't know if Johnson's really suited to playing how Mbeumo plays it now. He could play it very differently, but he likes to play his wingers inverted. Maybe someone like Johnson could be played a bit more centrally, like Worcester does, and maybe that was the goal for him. Maybe he wanted Johnson to be playing centrally like Worcester. Maybe that's why he bought him. But I think in that right wing role, I'm not sure the way Frank has played it anyway under Mbeumo is suited to what Johnson likes to do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so hard though to think about Frank's Brentford and try and relay his tactics onto Tottenham, because I do think you're going to see a lot of differences because of the players and the skill sets that we have. So it's hard to look at that Brentford team and being like, oh well, Johnson's not the same profile as Mbeumo, so maybe Frank won't like him. Like I don't think it's going to work out like that. I
agree. I think it is. But that's what we got going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to see how he's going to do at Tottenham, and it's hard to just say, well, he kind of did so well at Brentford developing a system, then he can just go anywhere and develop any system and just be the best manager ever. It's not that simple. But he obviously has to have certain principles, doesn't he, and certain things. But yeah, I agree with you. He's not married to one way of playing or anything like that. He does adapt, and he does look at what players are good at and not good at, and he adapts accordingly. So it's hard also to say because he did this at Brentford, he's going to do it again at Tottenham. Like that's not necessarily true.
Some interesting report from Gary Jacob here, telling us of more coaching staff that Frank is bringing over to Tottenham. He says Klaus Norgard is expected to be part of Thomas Frank's staff, who was another assistant head coach. He said the first team assistant head coach who worked alongside Cochrane, and also the fitness coach Tom Perryman.
God, they're getting stripped apart, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they really
Brentford?
are,
Poor
yeah.
guys. Poor guys.
So everyone now, apart from the set piece coach, pretty much.
Fitness coach. Was he the fitness coach last year? Because they had very bad injury problems last year when they finished 16th.
Yeah. I'll see how long. Good name though, Perryman.
Yeah,
Fits
Perryman's
well with
good.
Tottenham. Tom Perryman. It doesn't say when he joined. Can't see when he joined.
You know who could be a bit of a loser, actually, even though he might be leaving, is Richarlison.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to be here next season. But if he does, do you think he'll be a loser? I mean, he has spoken in the past of how good Richarlison is.
Who Frank has.
Yeah.
Look, it's hard to say, isn't it? But I think naturally I'm looking at like the roles that he's played, that front three. I don't know which one he naturally fits that well.
I mean, he's been open in saying how good Richarlison is.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if I'm looking at where I think of how I think Frank has played some of the profiles in the front three, I don't think he naturally fits any of them really. I'm trying to think. He's not really a player like on the left wing. I mean, maybe he could be a bit of that up front. In terms of how he's not as good as hold-up players like people like Tony and Solanke. He's good in the air, though, so you get some early crosses in, he can do well. Yeah, I'm not saying
Can he not do a role in the 9 like Wisser can? I know he's not as fast as Wisser.
Yeah, probably. Maybe not as good. I don't think he's a similar profile to Wisser, really.
No,
Bit of
but
a
I think he
different
can
one.
do a similar job, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to play and score no goals, but I'm just saying, is he going to get the best out of him? I don't know. But yeah, look, it's tough because his whole thing is he gets the strengths out of the squad and hides their weaknesses. So it's hard to say any player is going to be worse because if he's going to hide every player's weaknesses and heighten every player's strengths, and in theory, every player should be better. But football doesn't always work like that, does it?
Interesting development here. Someone's noticed on X is Cyprian Edmonds, who is the partner manager at Mercedes Petronas, has liked a lot of Spurs stuff on LinkedIn.
Maybe he's a Spurs fan.
Maybe.
What are you saying? Is he saying Mercedes are taking over Tottenham?
I'm saying, yeah, it's a done deal.
Done deal?
Absolute done deal.
Tweet it out. Here we go.
Here we go.
You got
That's exactly what I'm saying.
we're
How did
getting
you
Mercedes?
know? How did you know? That's exactly what I'm saying.
But who is it? So he's the what on Mercedes?
He's also worked at Tottenham in the past.
He's worked at Tottenham.
Oh, that's interesting. Worked at Tottenham as a partnership manager.
Who is he? Who did you say he was?
He works at Mercedes Petronas Formula One team.
Oh, Formula One.
But I think. Do
The
you
F1
think? Do you
arena?
think all this stuff is just nothing to see here now, or do you think something is happening in the background?
I wouldn't say it's nothing to see here. I think there's a lot of noise. I think there could be something bubbling. But look, just because there's something bubbling and just because there's talk doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I think there is something happening. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. If I'm trying to say, like there might be negotiations and talks and all these different things. Right, that all might be true. Doesn't mean there's going to be a takeover.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean Levy's gone. Doesn't mean any of that. Just
We
saying.
can hope.
But I'm just saying that I do think there is stuff going on in the background. I do. I think that is. I don't think that's all just guff. I think there is stuff being talked about, negotiated, but it's hard to get excited about because it could all break down very easily.
It won't stop me. It will not stop me getting excited. I dream for the day, and I have been dreaming for the day. So don't stop my excitement. What's this one? So what do you reckon? A game of bingo? Put in the comments, do you want to play a game of bingo or do you want to hear from Daigle?
Bingo or Brian? Brian or bingo? The classic debate.
Brian or bingo? Let us know in the comment section what you want to hear.
What actually about?
Don't know. He's not in the comments. Where is Brian?
Is
Wow, the people want Daigle. The people want Daigle.
the Frankaholic.
Where is he?
But it's interesting when you you spoke about the high performance podcast thing, and he was very clear on that podcast, wasn't he? In his next job, he wants to make sure that the ownership, he has got a good relationship, that there's money to spend, that they're on the same page with everything, and
Yeah.
he would only want to. That's the only way he would move.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe, given our owners, that all of that's going to be true. But clearly, he's agreed to come.
He won't be the first manager that would be conned to coming here.
So you think he's been conned?
Potentially, if there's no ownership change. All managers suffer the same fate, don't they? And that's one of the biggest reasons why you've been, not as excited as maybe other people over the last week.
It's more for me. It's not necessarily that I think no manager's ever going to work here. I'm just frustrated about the fact that we started another project. Within that project, we finished 5th and won a trophy, and we've abandoned that to go another direction, and it's again another transition and all this kind of stuff. That's what I'm frustrated about. Now, I've never been on sorry, there's been a fire alarm here. I don't know if you can hear it. I've never been on the train of doesn't matter what manager comes in, they're doomed to fail, all that kind of stuff. Because I do think that it is possible to have success and win trophies, and it's proven. We just won a trophy, so we can win trophies at this football club. But we need to do things in a smart way, and we need to stick to a plan. But we didn't do that. That's what I'm frustrated about. We didn't stick to it. We went in another direction. Now we're bringing Frank. Now I've got no problem with Frank in itself. I've got a problem with the instability that another change might bring. Hopefully Frank can hit the ground running quickly, and we're not going to be sitting here with another season of a transition and another season of waiting and another season of this and that. And we can start competing again next season. And I think maybe he can. Frank's a very good manager. It's possible. But it's also possible it might be a season of transition, which will be frustrating. Now, you've been banging on the drum that any manager that comes in here is doomed. And doesn't matter who we have,
Yeah.
they're going to fail.
Yeah.
So why are you excited about Frank then?
Because I think some managers can work in spite of the ownership, like Pochettino did.
So they're not doomed to fail.
Well, certain managers might not be, but I think ultimately it always does end up the same, doesn't it?
I
Like
agree.
You've been saying. So if that's not due to the ownership and maybe, managers not all doomed to fail, I think very clever managers that can work with what they got, for the most part, can do a job. Will it all end in tears like every other manager? I just got to live and pray that it doesn't. It's more hope than anything else, because I know the way this ownership operate, and I know the way they have been operating with every single manager that we've ever had, pretty much. But the way I look at Thomas Frank and the way I look at how he works with what he has and everything that we've been speaking about, it does give me a bit of hope, and that's the main reason why I'm so excited, because I see of what a good coach and what a good manager he actually is.
I agree, but I'm just saying the whole season, it's been about no manager's ever going to, what's it called, the whole season. People who say it doesn't matter who comes in, it's irrelevant. Every manager's come here doomed to fail and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's been the narrative. And now we're sitting here with the manager coming in where everyone's getting excited about a new manager.
Mm-hmm. That's just natural, isn't it? It's just a natural course of action. A new manager comes in, one that you really like, and you get excited. You're the one that was saying last week, we're probably going to be back here again in 18 months because this is how the ownership operate.
Probably, but that's not my point. My point with... that is my point actually, but it's not because I don't think Frank's a good manager, and it's not because I think no one can work under this ownership. It's the frustration that if we're going to operate how this ownership wants to operate, then you're going to need to invest time into it. and it's going to need to. You're going to need to stick to a plan, and even if it perceivedly at points gets very bad, if you see some things to persist with, then you're going to need to give it that time.
So how do you believe that a manager will work under this ownership if you believe all that and it needs time, but this ownership never give time?
They need to give it time. They
Yeah,
need
but
to
I'm
give
saying,
it
but
time.
on history,
I think if they do
history's-
give time, then it can work.
Okay, but they don't. History suggests that they don't give time, right? So how do you believe on the history and the evidence?
Because
that we've got?
under Poch, they did give it time, didn't they? So they
Yeah,
can
I mean,
give
look,
it.
Poch was on the verge of apparently getting sacked before the Aston Villa game, and it was a free kick that saved his job.
Yeah, I do think that story's overblown. I think that was Poch's feeling. Not necessarily there was any truth to it, but yeah, I understand your point. Yeah, but I do think in terms of the way, regardless of like that aspect of it, of the tricky happy nature of Levy, I think in the way we operate, it can work if given time.
Fine, that's all well and good, and I agree with you. It can work if given time, but they never get given time, so you can't.
That's the
really,
frustration I
but
have.
yeah, and you can't really bypass that that fact when it literally is a fact. So it brings me back to my question: like, what is your belief that it can work a manager can work under this ownership if we've because of that fact?
Well, I'm that's why I'm
'Cause you're the
frustrated
one
right
that-
now.
Yeah, but you're the one that keeps saying I don't prescribe to the notion that no manager will ever work here. But then again, you're saying
we just won a trophy, so we can win trophies under this tenure.
yeah. But I mean, would you take another season of winning a trophy and finishing 17th?
No, but I don't think we would have another season of the circumstances that we've had this season.
Mm.
I'd like to think.
You'd
I
like
think
to hope
I'd
so.
like to think it was a bit of a one-off season in that aspect. But yeah, of course, I
Let's
don't
hope
want.
it wasn't a one-off season winning the trophy.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
might be that as well. But obviously, we just won a trophy like that, so we can win trophies. It is possible, and I think we need consistency and we need time, and we're now potentially on the cusp of another transition. It might not be. Don't get me wrong. It might not be a transitional season, and maybe we can build off what some of the stuff we've been doing, and the good feeling we got off that trophy win, and getting a manager who changes things up, and maybe can get us challenging on multiple fronts. But it could be another transitional season, and I'm just sick of transitional seasons. That's my frustration right now.
Well, get used to it, mate. Have you not been used to it by now?
Yeah, I'm just bored of them.
Literally, ever since you started supporting Spurs, it's been a transitional season.
Just bored of them. I'm bored of transitional seasons. I'm just hoping it's not another one.
Can you send Daigle the link?
Yeah, I sent it to him.
Oh, you sent it to him.
3 minutes.
3 minutes till Daigle time, people. But yeah, I've got a lot more hope for Frank than I have done, with a lot of managers. I mean, I actually thought Conte was going to take us to the promised land. That didn't work out. I never really had that hope with Jose, not from the off anyway. Nuno, never really had too much hope in that project. Ange, I mean, when we were first linked with Ange, we were both kind of really apprehensive about it. And then when he came in, we were thinking, all right, with the story behind him, we kind of fell in love with him very quickly. Now, was it more lust than love? I don't know. But Frank, I've just got this really good feeling about Frank, and I just feel like he fits the club really well, really well. Probably the best fit that we've had since Pochettino.
Or how long until you lose patience again?
If we finish 17th, then it might happen. But I'm going to give... look, I said this under Postecoglou, but I'm going to give it a fair whack, man. I'm not going to turn on Frank like I turned on Ange. I guarantee you that.
Even if we do finish 17th?
What, in the second season? If we do finish 17th in the second season, yeah, I probably will turn on him. But I think you probably will as well.
Depends if we have all the injuries again.
I don't think any manager should be afforded finishing 17th in the second season. But like I said,
Depends on the context.
At the end of the season, there's no context involved that that finishing 17th can be acceptable.
It's not acceptable, but it's understandable.
Nah, not 17th.
Look, we've been through it so many times, but for me,
For a poorer season, yeah, but 17.
do you think if we, let's say Ange went out against RZ in that Europa League, and all the wins that we got in, let's say we've got in Europa League, right? We put them in the Premier League, and we finished like 10th or 9th, and he kind of had a good end to the Premier League season. Do you reckon he would still be in a job?
Sorry, what's the this hypothetical this time?
If he didn't win Europa League, but he kind of had a really good end to the Premier League season and finished like 9th, do you think he would have kept his job?
No.
You don't think so? Even if he saved the Premier League season in that way, didn't finish 17th?
No, I don't think so. Maybe, because it would have meant we had a really strong second half of the season. There is a potential for it.
Which is ridiculous when you think about it.
But he didn't. He
And
won the trophy.
he won the trophy instead,
Yeah,
which is better.
yeah. I mean, we as fans prefer it, yeah.
And I think the board should prefer it.
Yeah, well, the board don't align with me and you, Sim.
I know, but that's why I'm saying it's ridiculous that we're talking about he might have kept his job if he finished 9th with no trophy, but because he binned off the opportunity and went for the trophy.
Yeah, but look, there was, at the end of the day, right, we were still, like, if you gave me this hypothetical, like 6 months ago saying he would have won the trophy, look, I was saying I would still want him sacked if he won the trophy. But then when it came down to it, I was saying, look, keep it. Let's keep him on. And if I had my way, I probably would still be sitting here saying I want Ange to stay. But now Frank's here, I'm very happy. But a lot of fans would have said to you, keep him on if he's won the trophy. So who knows, man? The club just work in mysterious ways.
All right, well, let's bring on the Frankaholic. You've got it's all.
He goes by the name of the head of the Lord and Savior of the Frankish cult, Pastor Frankish. We're going to call him Rabbi Frankish. Rabbi Frankish. That's the best name for him, man. Rabbi Frankish. Let's bring him on, Rabbi Frankish. Rebbe, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm still being able to call the doctor every day for a face ache because I've been smiling so much.
We're all here for it, mate. We're all here for it.
Simeon, I have to say, I came in and I was in the background for a bit, and this, if he finishes 17th, came up. He won't be finishing 17th. He won't be. I'll tell you what, and I'm going to say this.
But you might not have a trophy, Brian.
I'm going to say this and stick to it, although Alana will kill me. If we finish 17th...
Oh, don't do it, Brian.
I will. I know. If we finish 17th, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. If we finish 17th...
Brian, wait. Just before you go on, just let me remind you that when you make these bets, they usually come true.
They always come true, Brian.
You know what? On the advice of Ben, I'm not going to complete my sentence because I do have a habit of losing them, don't I? And having to do it. So yeah,
have you ever won a tattoo bet, Brian?
Yeah, someone has had to get a Tottenham on tour tattoo, and they got it. Will Stewart still owes me a Tottenham on tour tattoo, but Will Stewart's vanished. So I'll wait for him to return, then I'll get back on the phone to him and make sure that gets cashed in. But I think you're right. I think I should put off that
Brian,
bet.
let me ask you this. Well, this is what I was asking Ben. For someone who has spent the whole season saying whatever manager comes in, it doesn't matter who it is, they're doomed to fail. It's regarded like when I ask you during this season, who do you want to come in? Your response is very commonly, doesn't matter who it is. I don't care who comes in because whatever manager comes in, nothing's ever going to change this football club. So why the excitement now about a potential new manager?
Don't listen to him, Dago. He's just trying to ruin our hype.
Simeon,
What do you mean? Listen to me. You're the ones banging on the whole season.
Do you know what I have to say? I have to say to the 1,500 people currently watching this, you know the world is in a crazy place when Ben and I, the negative ones apparently, are uber-duper positive, and Simeon has gone backwards.
I'm not going backwards. I like Frank, and I like him.
The feng shui twisted. What I will say with Thomas Frank's Sim, it's not just excitement because of now. As you know, I wanted Thomas Frank before Ange Postecoglou. I love Thomas Frank.
But it doesn't matter what manager, though. Apparently,
but
that's
no,
what you've been saying.
See, Simeon, you're going me and Ben. You see, me and Ben.
I'm just holding you to your own words.
We wrote the playbook to this kind of way. Now you're stepping into our world. I will say. Now I've got to go. Now I've got to get your black book and answer you the way you'd answer us.
Go on.
I will say, with Thomas Frank, as I've said, he will come in. It's always been with Conte. Let's just use Conte and Mourinho. They were doomed for failure because we all know they need huge budgets for massive players on big wages. They get the job done. They leave. Simple as. All managers that have come in all the kind of different kind of philosophies, different approaches, different styles, different ages. We've finally got a manager that can seriously identify talent and has shown it on a regular. Forget the progression on the pitch and how he develops them. His staff and him find these players and he develops them. Now, obviously at Brentford, he works on a lot smaller budget. It's going to be like a bounty to him. Whatever budget Tottenham Hotspur have will dwarf whatever he had at Brentford, regardless. And
but Brian, you're giving me reasons why Frank's going to work at Tottenham.
Yep.
So you do think he's going to work?
Of course I do.
So why all the talk the whole season about no manager can ever work? Are you saying Frank is the only one that can work?
Yes. Yeah, I'm that. Listen, mate, I have gone full delusion. I have leaped over the rainbow and found the pot of gold. I've done, mate. Listen, I've done it all.
I'm not arguing here saying Frank can't work. I'm just pointing out.
You're trying. You're trying to, Sim. Come on, let's be serious.
I've not once said Frank's not going to work. Not once.
No, you've actually gone mad at the board, which I haven't right now.
But
what's going on in this world?
The whole season, you've been saying. So why are we now saying? So we're now saying it's not true.
You've also said we're going to be in this position in 18 months' time again.
What? I don't know that. I'm just
That's what you said.
Okay, that's the feeling I get because of how we run, but that's not the point.
So that means you also feel like that no manager can work under this board.
But you're the one saying that you can.
Yeah, but you're saying it without actually saying it.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. I'm not. You're saying we'll be here in 18 months' time again.
Yeah, because that's what we've always been.
All right. So what does that suggest?
But I don't know that. I don't know that for sure. I think Frank can work. I think Frank can work.
I think you've also got to remember.
Maybe Frank. Look, maybe my point being is, Frank might. My point is that Frank might take a bit of time, and there might be a loss of patience, and that's what I'm worried about. But I think, given time, he'll be fine if the board give him time. Now, board don't a lot of the time they haven't given time, but I think they're kind of forced to in this occasion because of the way they've sacked Ange Postecoglou after winning a trophy. They kind of have to give this manager time now. So I do think they actually will probably give him some time. But obviously, the first season we'll have to wait and see how it goes in the second season. My point being, I like Frank. I think he can. I personally do agree he can do well. I'm not sitting here saying he won't do well. I'm saying that you guys are very excited on right after going through the whole season saying no manager is ever going to do well at this football club. I'm seeing a lot of excitement for a new manager when you spend the whole season saying doesn't matter who comes into this football club and who's the manager, they're never going to do well.
But you're also suggesting that no manager will work.
I'm not.
You are, because you're saying we're going to be here in 18 months' time. But why would we be here in 18 months' time?
Look, that's just my frustration talking.
I think what we need to bring into this is
I don't think that's necessarily true. It depends on how he does. But my point being is the whole season you've been saying this.
Sim. Well, I think we're all overlooking one thing here, which is a major. This is the first time with the brand new CEO. This is a brand new era without Donna Cullen. This is a brand new era where, at the moment, there is massive talk or non-stop talk about a possible takeover or small minor investment. There are things changing at Tottenham. Now, obviously, going into this season and how the club act is all going to be new to us. Is Vinay and whoever else come in, and Paratici, who's back and will hopefully have a heavy influence on transfers, will they, if we get off to a mediocre to bad to mediocre start, will they revert to type? Will they say, right, listen, don't worry, you're our guy, we're going to carry... Everything is new going into this season, but we wanted... The main key elements is you look at this, we wanted a manager, and I'm not just speaking for me, a wide range, that wanted a coach that will be on the training pitch and coach these players and be very, very heavily involved in that. That's just what he does. We wanted a manager that could tactically change his systems, styles of play, and also change for certain opponents. Well, that's Thomas Frank. We wanted a manager, the club have wanted a manager always to be able to find young talent and bring them up. And I think if any manager in the league, apart from Brighton, as you mentioned, deserve, when they buy players and no one's heard of them, has developed them and shown how good they are, that's Thomas Frank. So key elements that we need or wanted, both fans, clubs, and I don't mean all fans, because some fans were obviously heavily wanting Ange to stay, and I get that. Like I said, I get that. Ben and I both changed once we won the trophy and said, you know what, if he's here, he's here. But the key elements, what a lot of fans wanted to change on the pitch, is exactly what Thomas Frank does.
Okay. So you think it can be an actual change?
Yeah, I think, like you said, you've watched a lot of things, Sim. I know you have, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat have watched them as well. When you actually listen to the man, and don't take out the, oh, he's at Brighton, what's he won, and all the kind of things go, Ange, but if you actually listen to the man and research on him, he's just a guy you want to listen to, that is very, very close with his staff, as Ange was, and is a fascinating listen to. And the more and more you listen to him, you're like, do you know what? I can see this now. I've seen a lot of people that have actually taken the time to go and watch videos of him and listen to him, have been like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I overlooked just by the style of what Brentford had done as a team, and actually spent time listening to the man. And I think a lot of people will do that when we finally get the announcement and he's done his first interview and fans get to listen to it. I think that is going to win a lot of people over.
Agreed.
How positive is it, Brian, about the coaching stuff? We're hearing about 5 or 6 coming over.
Yeah, I mean, I sent you something just before. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah.
He's apparently his fitness, head fitness guy's coming as well. And I can't remember who the other guy was. But yeah, it seems like there's more and more people coming, isn't it? And the fitness one is key, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. You know, Sim said before, a couple of years ago, they did have quite a big injury crisis. I'm not, you know, how sure it was down to the fitness coach or not. But the one key one that's missing is just the set piece coach.
Yeah, that's the one that we're looking at. Do you know what? Maybe Spurs do that outhouse. Maybe they don't bring one, but as you've been saying before, both of you, it's a big part of his game, isn't it? Both defensively and attackingly, it's a big part. They're very, very effective in these areas and set pieces, so you'd hope that they're able to bring him along. But the good thing was that tweet you shared with me, Simeon, that Justin said a few years ago when he saw Dane Scarlett and Alfie Devine coming onto the pitch. He's known these youngsters for a good little while, and obviously I've never loved an assistant manager more.
Like you needed another reason to get even more excited.
Exactly. I big up the assistant manager. Big up Justin. Mate, listen, I am just absolutely delighted. I just want the appointment. I really do think he's going to win people over very, very quickly. Let's see who comes in on the transfer window. Let's see what activity. I think, Simeon, as well, like we were just saying before about Vinay and is there change at the club to make Frank successful. I think a big telling point is how we attack this window, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it is. What? I mean, Eze, I think Eze's got to be like the first point of call, surely.
As you both know, I love Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White. If we could get either one, my God, I'll be doing cartwheels, and I can't even do cartwheels. I'll learn to do
where does Morgan Gibbs-White fit in for you?
Well, we were talking about, and I did hear you at the beginning of the show where you were saying, would you sell Kulusevski for Morgan Gibbs-White? Abso-bloody-lutely. For me. Abso-bloody-lutely. You get a good amount of money for Kulu. he's been injured. I think over the last couple of years he's picked up a bit of an injury, isn't it? And he starts on fire, then just kind of peters out through overplaying, no rotation, whatever it may be. Morgan Gibbs-White, English talent. I think he's an exceptional player. I really, really do, and can cover. It has got more to his game, as in positions where he can play and be effective. So I would personally sell Kulusevski for Morgan Gibbs-White. And we were having this discussion yesterday, weren't we, Ben? I think he can play anywhere in midfield. I really do. I think he may not be a number 6 as of yet, but I think he's got the attributes where he could, with coaching, like we said, like Thomas Frank develops players, could be a make-way or a backup kind of alternative as a 6. I think he's exceptional. I really, really do, sir.
Would you sell Maddison for Gibbs-White?
I wanted Gibbs-White and Eze before Maddison. If I was going with my heart, yes, but Simeon, I'm going to do a Simeon and make Simeon proud. I'm going to go with my head and say probably not. Probably not, because I think James Maddison is going to have a much more bigger impact in a Frank system and have a lot more freedom on the pitch, like at Leicester when he was always taking these long-range shots, which is a very, very big asset of James Maddison's play, a key part of his game.
Frank doesn't like long shots.
Mainly, but he likes these players to have freedom, like Damsgaard and Eriksen when he had them, and I think you will see James Maddison in a lot more effective and free role. And even if we can get him back to, I still remember going back, one of my favourite moments is James Maddison. Do you remember that 2-1 win against Liverpool when they went down to 9 men with the offside goal that wasn't? His ball to Richarlison to set up Sonny for the first one. Mm-hmm. His eye for a pass when he has the space is just exceptional. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, James Maddison. So it's a tough one, Ben. Would I swap them? My heart would always say yes, because I just love Morgan Gibbs-White. But I think my head would be no.
Eze or Gibbs-White?
Eze's my number 1. It would have to be Eze.
It's got to be.
It would have to be. Do you remember, Ben? We were having this chat again with Maddison. We were watching the England game when Eze played before Maddison was a Spurs player, and we were having this discussion. I think Eze all day. I don't think there's a player we could realistically get where you put him or Eze where I won't say Eze.
Yeah, I love Eze as well, and he was like the only one that really stood out for England the other night as well in that horrific performance against Senegal. But
you know what? I think Spurs, if they make a signing like an Eze, that's we always want these statement signings, market, whatever word you want to use, statement signings. If you do go get an Eze or a Gibbs-White, just using those two as examples because they're obviously being heavily rumoured, that is an actual statement.
Yeah.
Would that be enough for... Not the only signing, but if that's the only big money signing, are you happy with that?
We need a number. I think we need a number 6. I think we all know we need a number 6. I would like us to get a very powerful, strong number 6, and that may cost some money. But if we had to get, what would you say another big money? What would you categorise, Simeon, as like that's a big money? What's your price target?
These days, probably 50 million is probably like the new 30 million, isn't it?
So maybe, you know what? Maybe you can get a decent number.
Brian, if we consider that Archie Gray is an 18-year-old who had one season in the Championship, he costs 40. So 50 million is really kind of where the bigger money signings are.
So around, you can probably find a very good, very effective and very good number 6 for around the Archie Gray money. Put it this way: if we just signed Eze and a very, very good number 6, and they were the only 2 incomings, as opposed to these little gifts and the little, I'd be delighted. I'd be like 10 out of 10 window. Yes, other areas may need an address, but you've identified 2 key targets of very, very high quality, and you've got them both in.
Would you be disappointed if we were to go into next season with no new midfield signings, and let's say Bissouma and Bentancur do take that role? Because I'm looking at maybe what Frank's asking from his midfield. I know it's not easily relatable to Tottenham. But let's say Bissouma, Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr as our kind of central midfield options next season. I mean, it's not the worst in the world.
It's not the worst, Ben, but I think without a shadow, if we had to make one side, as much as I want, as I think number 6 for what Spurs need, and it's clear to see, especially because Frank will use a number 6, I think that is the most important signing. I think what we have to see, in my opinion, we have to see a number 6 coming.
Yeah. So six and an Eze would be a brilliant window, I guess.
Would that would be? I mean, if we look at it and look at the last few windows, especially even the last summer one, Solanke, Odebear, who else? Got Archie Gray, and Bergvall was January, wasn't he? But he joined, and then obviously Werner. You sign, and let's just say Eze and Paulinho. Let's just use Paulinho as an example. That is a night and day better window than last summer's. Night and goddamn day. They are Premiership ready. First immediately improve the first 11, strengthen the bench with the other 2 that were going out onto the. That would be an incredible window.
With the current squad as it is now, with no new signings, how far up the league do you reckon Frank can take us?
With this, I listen. One thing I said as well. It wouldn't have mattered who our manager was, even if it was Ange. My expectations for next season, just because I'm not going to be reaching for the stars and getting overexcited and thinking, oh my God, that's it, we're back, will be get Spurs back into the top 8. That would be because the 6 ahead of us are just, well, you can see how far they're ahead of us immediately. They will strengthen. Some of them have been strengthening, and I think we've got to be serious here and see who we bring in. That expectation of 8th and up may change after the window closes. I could change that to 6 and up. But right now, I think we've got to be serious with our Premier League. When people say, I've seen a lot of people go, oh yeah, get ready for mid-table obscurity. 8th is, what would you say, just a little bit higher than mid-table or mid-table towards top end? And I don't know what people expect with the other teams around competing for the top spaces. I've been liking it, guys. I don't know if you agree with me or the people in the chat. When Martin Yol came in, Martin Yol laid the foundations, and we kept building and building and building and building. And now we've kind of gone all the way back down through no fault, through managers, through the neglect by the owners. I say we're back at the Martin Yol stage, and we need to start building and building and building and building again to get back into top 4, consistently challenging for it. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, I think our squad is in a better place than it was then. However, the other teams are probably stronger as well. So, yeah, I mean, we do need to establish ourselves back in. Because how many times have we actually finished top 4 in the last 5 years?
Once.
Well, that's it.
Once, yeah.
I remember when Poch came and we were challenging, we were trying to knock one of the top 4 out of the top 4. It wasn't. There's 6 of them now challenging for those 4 spots. It's a complete, even from the Poch days, it's a completely different race to try and get into that top 4 space.
So it's a big 8 now, isn't it?
Getting that way. I mean, do we reckon Forest? We don't know what's going to happen with Nuno. Can they continue this?
I don't
will
think
Europe
so.
have them?
I don't think so.
Will they go big in the transfer market? Who knows? But we know the 6 above them will do.
Yeah, I do think Forest have a drop-off next season.
I just see it being a big 6 with Villa and Newcastle making a big 8 now.
Yeah, you could look at it that way.
And Man United are going to improve next season big time as well. They've got a good manager there. They're bringing good players as well.
Yeah, with a big pre-season. It's the thing. We saw him in January, and it was hard for him to implement everything. Obviously, there was chaos there. But when he gets a pre-season behind him, a full pre-season where he gets to run his training drills and do everything, I think they will be a lot more. They'll be a lot tougher, and especially with the way they're moving in the market.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, look, next season is going to be incredibly difficult, but with good coaching around us, I actually believe we can finish in the top 6 next season.
I really, really hope so. And like I said, everyone will become a Frankaholic. everyone will convert to my faith of Frankish. We'll all study Frankism together, and then we'll all be happy.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's the dream. I mean, I think at the moment, if all Spurs fans around the world agree with each other, we all die. That's it. If we all agree, that's it. There's got to be an argument somewhere. But listen, every season we go into this and we're like, oh my God, it's to be different this summer or different this manager or there has been changes at board level. There has been changes at obviously manager, and I will say, well done to Tottenham. And if Levy's been heavily involved as well as Vinay, well done. They've moved very quickly to get Thomas Frank. Yes, the hold up on coaching. They paid the release fee where there's normally a haggle and a whatever, and we've seen with other managers that there's been a problem bringing a certain amount of coaching staff. Well, as more and more develops, it looks like we are taking a very, very large section of their coaching staff. Now, could that be Vinay's input? Because it's never happened before? Could it be the serious pressure mounting, or maybe new investors are on the way and this is what they've been instructed? But Spurs, even approaching the manager, are acting differently. Forget where you want to go, oh yeah, because he's cheap and he'll buy cheap. Spurs are acting very, very differently to how they have done previously.
Yeah.
And that's something to cling on to for hope that maybe this time. If
If even Brian is saying maybe this time, then maybe it is this time.
My stance on the man at the top will never ever waver. Until the day he's gone, public enemy number one. Once you've gone, I wish you every bit of success in your life. But whilst he is currently here, am I thinking currently there is change out of foot at Tottenham Hotspur in the way we're acting, the way we've got this manager sorted? And let's be honest, we've sorted it quickly. I think it's only been Mourinho and Redknapp that we've done like that. All the others have taken time, or there's been negotiation over coaching staff or release fees or whatever it may be. There's things changing at Tottenham.
Yeah.
And now things are going to change on the pitch, which is the most important thing.
Brian, what's your opinion on Ali Gold saying that the set-piece coach that we potentially are looking to bring in is a chap named Jorgensen, who has worked under Frank in the past, but last season he was at Manchester United, who had one of the worst set-piece records in the league?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was dealing with the players at Man U, or they're getting the message over. If, like I've said right now, if Thomas Frank has earmarked him and said, I've worked with you before and I want you, good enough for me. Good enough for me. Obviously, Thomas Frank may have different strategies in how he wants his set pieces taken. It's like we said, but it's like when people were going, well, Ange beat Thomas Frank twice, so he must be a shit manager. And I said, let's get Ruud van Nistelrooy in then, because he beat Ange.
Brian, I hope you're under no illusion. I hope you got nothing to do today, because we're not letting you go until we get the announcement.
Of course, we do that. Okay, let's chill. Let me just call my secretary.
Yeah?
Let me just call my secretary and clear all further appointments. It's a We Are Tottenham TV day. No problem. As long as you guys know, as long as you ever need me, I will always be here.
We're just trying to recreate the day of when Ange got sacked, and hopefully it's a positive
I thought
one
you were
this
just
time.
about to say. I thought you were just about to say, well, thanks for that. See you later, Bryce. It's been a nice day. We'll call you when we need you. Yeah, no, it has happened, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has happened, but that was around 5 o'clock-ish, wasn't it? So you're going to keep me on for another hour.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Is that all right with you?
Mate, I've got all the time in the world for Ben and Simeon, We Are Tottenham TV, and everyone in the chat.
And Thomas Frank.
He doesn't even need mentioning. I need to get a Thomas Frank halo. I might even grow my hair out to replicate his hair.
There's a report coming out from this guy on Twitter called Krish. I don't know if he's reliable or
He's
not.
one of these ITK guys.
And he says that Bayern Munich are willing to listen to proposals for João Palhinha this summer. He's not in company's plans, and they're looking for a price tag of around 35 million euros.
I'll do that.
There you go.
Surely
And it's
that's
under
a
the
deal
40 you said.
It's under what?
It's under the money Archie Gray was saying, like we were just saying with Sim.
Yeah, it's actually mad to think about. You can get a João Palhinha cheaper than an Archie Gray. Which is mad. He said there's been inquiries from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Premier League, and Sporting.
Well, you would hope he'd want to come back to the Premier League, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or unless you... Did you say sport? Did you say Portugal?
Yeah.
There's that, isn't there?
Yeah, look, he is 29, 30 years old. Would you still take him?
Yes. Well, this is the thing. We've been saying we need experience.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need some proper experienced players. I've never got any problem signing 29, 31 to like 31-year-olds to come in for a season or two, especially as well with the youngsters coming through. What a great person to learn off of.
Well, having said that, then we were having a bit of a chat before about Christian Eriksen.
Do I want us to go back to hitting the wall and first man corner? No, thank you. No, thank you.
Frank
Frank
got a good level out of him, though, didn't he?
He did. I wasn't. I didn't like the way Christian Eriksen left the football club. I think he down tools in his performances before he left. Personally, for me, I wouldn't go back. So having this talk with Ben Kaufman, can you imagine if he wanted to come back in some kind of coaching capacity? Then that's a completely different kettle of fish.
Player coach.
To take up a spot on the playing side, no, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't see it. He wasn't the greatest at I mean, obviously, like you said, Sim, Frank got a tune out of him, but what was that, 2-3 years ago now?
Yeah, it's fair. Do you think there's any guys in the squad Frank's going to particularly not like and maybe look to move on?
This is the thing. Again, this comes back to what Thomas Frank has to play with budget-wise. And if he's got certain players in mind, but he's been told he needs to raise the money for that, then I think there are players of value he may sell. But obviously, I don't know which ones. We don't even know yet what's going on with Romero. We don't know if any other players are going to want to leave. I'm more excited about players I think he's going to improve. And one of the things I think which is so important with the number 6, if we can get this number 6 in, whoever it may be, it gives Mickey, and I'm only going to use Mickey here for obvious reasons, it gives Mickey a lot more protection. He's not going to need to make so many recovery sprints, which hopefully will keep him fresher and away from so many injuries, which I think could be absolutely massive for us because we know how important he is for us. If he's with Romero as well, my God. But I honestly think that number 6 is vital for that defensive protection. But there's players that are going to progress, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Surely all Romero needs is just one chat with Frank and he'll be back on board. Maybe
Frank should reach out to me and I'll go talk to Romero about the wonders of... and then he'll stay. Honestly,
he might have to get a restraining order.
Yeah, I think he might. Well, luckily I won't go into the stadium at the moment, so he's fine at the moment. But he's gonna improve players. There's gonna be players that I think Porro and Destiny, dramatic, like their defensive attributes and involvement develops. I think Dominic Solanke is going to be more ruthless, more opportunities, get a lot more goals. Do we need another striker still, especially if Richie goes? 100%. But I think he's going to be more in the box than dropping deep. I think Brennan Johnson is going to be more central. You're going to see a completely different Brennan Johnson.
Do you feel, Brian, if Richarlison was to leave, then maybe Brennan becomes that other striker and we bring in another winger?
Could be, because he will play more of a shadow striker and playing around Brennan Johnson as opposed to wider. And then that does free up that right wing, doesn't it? It really does. He could use Odegaard there, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Technically, could, but obviously we'd want more experience and more quality there. But that is an option. I just think a lot of people, a lot of players are going to develop, and a lot of players that people may say he's not good enough, he's not this, he's not that. I seriously think you will see them develop.
Let's get through these super chats. We've got 4 super chats here from Crazy Rat. Sim's #1 fan. And the first one, he says, it's Sim's world and we're all just living in it.
Don't you know it?
Second one says, commenters, leave Sim alone before I get mad. The other one is Sim and Brian and Ben, the ultimate trio.
Oh, thank you, very crazy rat.
And the last one says, rules don't apply to Sim. He can act how he wants.
Absolutely spot on.
The super chat he gave yesterday when your fire alarm was going off when I watched it back was just unbelievable. His super chats are incredible, whoever they may be.
Crazy rat. One crazy rat he is. A super chat here from Tottenham Maid saying, nothing wrong with Frank, but this fan base is a mess. Half of us want trophies and the other half want us to consistently chase teams that outbuy us in quality. Some of these fans expect miracles.
It's right.
Are you one of those fans?
No, like I said, but my expectations next year is, I've said this to you guys before, is finishing the top 8, like I just said, get out of the group stage in the Champions League, put everything into winning the FA Cup, everything into winning it. And with the Carabao Cup juggling 4 competitions, especially with Frank's first venture in European football, and it being the Champions League, that one might be the one we might have to sacrifice. But I'm under no illusions of the job ahead. I want to see us competing. Obviously, we all want to see us competing for both, without a doubt. But we've got to build a platform and a structure that we can build on, where the foundations are there to say, right now we can compete here, compete there. This is I'm not going to put any huge expectations on Frank or Tottenham right now. I'm going to try and be as real as possible.
Reefer says, how much patience would Thomas Frank get to build a squad with young players coming in? Because we were having a conversation about players like Jamie Donnelly, Alfie Devine, essentially the players that are out on loan this season, and when are they ever going to get their chance if we're still looking to sign players? And basically Sim was saying, it's going to be hard for them to get their chances, and I was saying, look, if they're good enough, they'll get their chances.
Agree with both of you. I think some of them need championship loans. I really think they do. But then you look at it, Thomas Frank once again does develop these players. Does keep a close eye on the youth teams coming through and the youngsters we've got coming. I think a few of them can force their way in. Maybe not this season, but the education and regular first team minutes they can get from a consistent loan. Look at people like Jamie Donnelly and Keeley. We'll all use them two, because what an incredible loan period that was for both of them. Both regular minutes, both with managers that help them develop. And that's the kind of relationships we need to find with teams in the Championship. Not like West Brom's different now because of obviously Mason, but Wall Lancashire, that was just a waste of a loan, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we need to make sure.
Now, though. You got 2 clubs in the Championship now.
Yeah, and Chris Davis will definitely know them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And also, you look at it as well. I know it's a little while ago with Ollie Skip, but Norwich seemed to always utilise our players. Obviously, Ollie Skip was needed for it, and he got Player of the Year, didn't he, that season in the Championship? So there are clubs there. We've just got to be very smart with them.
You want to say? Samuel Lynch with a super chat says, Samuel says hi. Come on, you Spurs. Hi Samuel. Big up to you. And Tottenham Maid with the super chat says, I'm 34 and seen this club win 2 trophies. It's shocking in reality. It's shocking in reality. It's shocking in dreams. It's shocking in every sort of universe. But Frank's here. The good times are coming, no?
Damn right. Preach, Ben. Preach.
Looking back at the poll now, 2,672 votes. Are you happy with Frank? 77% say yes. 7% say no, and 16% saying unsure.
Do you know what as well? It's that 16% and the 7%. After we've got the official, he's a Spurs manager, and they've done their interview, do that poll again the next day.
Yeah.
And then I think you'll have a much higher than 77.
Yeah, everyone's happy. I think looks like vast majority.
I mean, Sim, let me ask you this question. We all know it's Frank now, but if it hadn't have been Frank, who was your go-to that you personally wanted as obviously it was obvious that I wanted Thomas Frank. Who would have been your number one to come in and try and attempt to take over the ship?
I mean, I preferred Frank to Iraola or Silva. Glasner maybe was one.
Yeah,
I was looking at, but I actually don't think there's massive potential difference between Glasner and Frank. I think they're both very good. And then slim pickings really. You got Pochettino, but I don't know if we can get him out of America. He's not doing great now. Yeah, I mean, there's not many on the market unless you can convince someone to leave their club. There's a guy from Stuttgart, but he's just signed a new deal. So, look, again, Frank probably would have been one of my my choices up there for sure to replace.
Okay, it sounds like you're about to convert. I'm enjoying it.
I have got no problem with Frank. I don't know how many times I need to say it.
No, but you haven't gone full Frankish yet. Ben has authority to let me know when you have. Ben is on the par with me. We're giving approvals.
I like Frank.
When I hear him as convincingly back Frank as he backed Ange, then we'll know he's full Frankish.
There you go. There we go. Well, that'll be after his first interview.
Yeah, I bet. Definitely. As soon as he's holding, not even the interview, as soon as he's holding up the shirt, Sim's going to be bang on the train.
Yeah, you'll have to give the "Here We Chew." That's what you have to give.
I think he's a great manager. I think he could do quite well here. He could.
There you go. You're warming.
But it doesn't stop me being frustrated with the club.
No, you're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir in that department. We shall see.
Yeah,
we shall see what happens.
I can't tell. Sim's heart ain't in it. He can't tell. I thought he said he can tell. Maybe he meant he can tell. But yeah,
it'll be in it.
It will. Is it not in it yet? You're still
just reeling,
feeling the loss of Ange.
The loss of Ange and yet another project. That's what I'm just frustrated with.
This is the thing. That is a very, very frustrating part because it's what this club does. There's no getting away from it. Whether you're like me, who is the I'm going to call myself one of the Frank Ultras. That sounds better. I'm a Frank Ultra. That is delighted because I've wanted him for so long. It's still, like you said, Simeon, it's another project. It's another here we go again. It's another how long will this last? But for once in the entire tenure, I'm actually looking at it the other way, that I'm going along with the manager and hoping things happen rather than going down my normal road of, right, let's bash Levy. Because I will do. When the time is right, trust me, I'll be there. But right now, it's about Thomas Frank. I've decided as well, I'm actually going to get a Spurs shirt from somewhere other than the Spurs shirt. And I can't remember, what number manager is he, Sim, full-time?
15 maybe? 15, 16?
I'm going to get number 15, Frank, on the back of it. That's what I'm going to do. Whatever number, like I said, if it's 15, I'm going to go to a place where you can get them for reasonably cheaper and get the numbers, whatever he is, Frank on the back.
15th time lucky.
There you go. 15th time works the charm.
Why don't you just get Choo Choo on the back?
Oh, that's not a bad one. Maybe. Well, there are 3 kits. I won't buy the home kit. So I'll get 15 Choo Choo and 15 Frank. Done.
And for your love of Alfie Devine, you may as well get Cochrane on the back of the 3rd shirt.
Yeah, but I won't buy the home kit, not because of the red, because I just think the home kits are horrible. I really do think they've been horrible. But what I will say is, the very second that Levy is no longer at the club, the very first thing I do is get an Alfie Devine. I get a Spurs shirt from the Spurs shop with Alfie Devine's name and number on the back. It's the very first thing I do.
Spurs have just officially announced that Jedinak, Montgomery and Raimundo have left their roles as assistant coaches.
I really thought you were going to say it actually happened, but yeah, they're clearing the decks now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's officially announced as of 6 minutes ago.
They are clearing the decks.
Are we going to get another club announcement today? What's your prediction, Brian? Is it today or tomorrow?
Do you know what? I think it's just got to the point now. I don't know. I literally.
It was about this time on Friday when we were like, is it happening or not? Are we playing bingo or are we speaking to Brian?
That's the thing. Friday, I thought it was going to be yesterday. But then when you saw Spurs only tweeted, obviously, about the international players that are on duty, I thought, okay, they're waiting to clear the decks for internationals to go. Then I saw this morning they started tweeting about, I think it was Matthias Tell and Audebert playing for France. Now they've cleared the decks for the staff going. I'm more inclined to think this is happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we are half an hour away from the time that they announced that Ange will leave him. So this is the thing. Do you know what? Like I said, the only certain thing about Tottenham Hotspur is their uncertainty.
Yeah.
I mean, Sim, I remember this a few years ago. We were waiting for Bissouma to be announced. We were in the studio, and then we said, "Do you know what? Let's go home." And then we got home, and they announced Bissouma.
Good times waiting for Bissouma to be announced. Good times.
That was with the £150 million war chest,
which we still haven't seen 50 million of it.
Exactly. I have to say, I remember that day I was with Brad Matthews going up the CN Tower. Ben was trying to call me non-stop. My phone was going red as I was going up the elevator. My leg was burning, and it was everyone going on about the 150 million and Daigle's in the mud. I hate that saying. I hate that saying. Daigle, look, and we didn't even spend it. And we spent. I think we bought 7 players with 100 million, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
which is what we don't. Which is what we don't need if we only have 100 million this time.
There's another super chat here from Asif Asgar saying Frank has a higher ceiling than Ange. A trophy win can be lucky, but a good league position requires consistency. Frank can give us that. What do you reckon about that? Either of you?
I agree in principle, but first of all, he finished 5th in his first season. Everyone says it wasn't about consistency apparently, but he's right. A cup win can be lucky, but I don't think ours was. I don't think it was luck. We played well in all the rounds pretty much and deserved to win it. So yeah, I don't see why it was luck.
Sim, I think what people
it can be like Chelsea's Champions League win, where it was extremely lucky. Or even United's FA Cup win, where they were minutes away from getting knocked out by Coventry, or they very luckily beat Liverpool in the previous round. That was lucky, but we deserved that Europa League. Like, we were good, and maybe the final wasn't the best performance, but I think overall in that Europa League, especially in the knockouts, we were great. We deserved to win all those games.
I think, Sim, when people say that we're lucky to win the Europa League, the way I'm looking, I think more people are looking at how fortunate we were with the draw, as opposed to because apart from Frank, Bodo was what we wanted, wasn't it? And then obviously Man U, you'd rather Man U or over Bilbao at home.
Lazio also thought they got lucky playing Bodo.
Exactly. No, you're right, but that's what I'm saying. I think people are saying that's it because Lazio got knocked out. Would it have been the same? It doesn't matter. We won the tournament. There's no doubt winning that trophy, and like I said, Ange is a legend to me for that. Ange gave me something that no other manager apart from one day Ramos in the Premier League era has been able to deliver. We've been in Europe consistently with better managers or higher stature managers that haven't been able to get it over the line. So I kind of I agree with the super chat. I think we can win a trophy with Frank. I think we can. I honestly think we can. Like we said, people. I also been saying, Sim, that this doesn't mean this isn't a shot at Ange or a put down. We went into that Europa League from start to finish, even though we were playing poorly, as favourites. Overwhelming favourites. So we got.
I don't think we were.
We were
Oh,
favourites.
sorry. You mean the final or the tournament?
No, the tournament.
Ah,
We've been
Yeah.
favourites literally from the get go. Doesn't mean you've got a divine right to win it. That's not. But we got there. We won it. Brilliant, Ange. Well done. It's fantastic. Really is. How many people, when you do the predictions of the season, have people turned around and said, "You know what? Premier League, FA Cup or Carabao Cup? Yeah, I fancy Brentford this year." And Brentford have been overwhelming favourites. He's never been at a club that have been.
yeah. Those comparisons are stupid. Like, well,
No,
why are
I'm
you comparing
saying.
Brentford
No,
to
no,
Tottenham?
they're not
Of course.
stupid, Tim. What I'm saying
They
is
are
he's been at a
stupid.
place. They're not. They're not. What I'm saying is he's never been in a place where he could seriously focus on all three domestic issues because his main aim was staying in the Premier League.
I
Now
agree.
he's at Tottenham.
I agree.
Now he's at Tottenham. Now he's at Tottenham. He's got a genuine chance of competing in those domestic cups.
I agree.
Not necessarily just saying the Premier League right now. I'm saying for all the people that are saying, "Well, he's won nothing." Not you.
Yeah. I'm saying they're stupid for saying that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I thought you caught. Yeah. Now I get what you were saying.
No,
I thought you and me were going to have a domestic sim.
no. I'm saying they're stupid for saying that. But
Exactly.
but you're absolutely right. However, what I would say is the fact he hasn't won anything. Also, leaves that question mark about is he a winner, which we won't know until he's won something, I guess. But
Correct.
the only thing you have against Frank is unknowns. He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. But it's not about how bad he is at something. It's about what he hasn't done yet, and that's the only thing you can really say because he's only had one job, and it's like.
Yep.
When I say like he hasn't managed in Champions League, it's not a criticism. It's just an unknown. You know what I mean? He hasn't managed in
Correct.
European football. It's not a criticism.
Correct.
It's just a fact, and it's just an unknown, and we're gonna have to see how it is. And
Correct.
that's it.
It is frustrating though when you hear fans just using that as a stick to beat him with.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a six beating with.
No, I'm not saying you do.
I'm
but some
not saying
fans
I know,
do,
but
fans do.
I understand because it's a risk in that sense,
Yeah.
which is true because it is an unknown. But it's not a criticism. It's just an unknown. But I
Correct.
agree. Anyone saying he's bad because of these things are wrong. But anyone saying it's an unknown and it's a risk, you can't argue with it.
You know, when we were first linked to Frank, I saw fans, pull up his form at Brentford, the amount of losses that he's had over the course of the 3 years, where he's finishing in the table, how he's done in the cup competitions, like all these stuff. I had a stick to beat him with. And I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, the job he's done at Brentford has been nothing short of a miracle. It's been incredible what he's done there. With the resources
best-
that he's had.
No, but the one I was going to say, which makes me laugh, the one that I've been having said to me on multiple occasions is, well, he went out 1-0 to Plymouth in the third round of the FA Cup. And I was like, well, Liverpool went out to Plymouth in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Yes, Liverpool played a weaker squad, but that team, sorry, a weaker team, not weaker squad, that team, the Arne Slot picked out, everyone watching football would have said that Liverpool team is big enough and good enough to beat a very, very low, struggling against relegation Plymouth team, but they don't. They don't use that one. So they use the Plymouth 1-0 Brentford, but conveniently seem to forget the 1-0 Plymouth Liverpool. So it's crazy.
Another super chat here saying the game is about glory last time I checked, not the game is about finishing fifth. Well, actually, Ange did both those things.
Yeah.
That's
That's the other thing.
glory.
You get that used, but like we said, every other manager that we've had hasn't been able to consistently deliver both. I will say I want trophies. We've got the taste for it. It's what I've always said. I want trophies, but Tottenham need to build something so they can compete on both. And we saw last
How
season.
about they build their trophy cabinet? How about that?
Mate, do you know what? Make it a double decker, a triple decker for the trophies that are incoming. Why not? Why not? You win your first one, and then hopefully, like London buses.
Unfortunately, Tottenham made in current modern day football, the game isn't about glory anymore. That's just how it is.
There's that aspect as well, Sim.
Yeah, the game isn't about glory when it's Tottenham winning the trophies. But when Tottenham are not winning the trophies, the game is just about glory.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Because when we were under Poch, everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, but you got no trophies. What does all this mean if you have no trophies?" And then suddenly we win a trophy, and everyone's been like, "Yeah, but you're crap."
Yeah. What a wonderful sport we all love.
It doesn't matter about the trophy. The trophy's a crap trophy to win.
Yeah. And if you don't get Champions League revenue, you can't get Champions League players.
Yeah. Tell that to Man United.
Exactly. Exactly. It just goes round and round and roundabouts. But yeah, it's looking half an hour until we know if it's going to be the same time. Do you reckon it's today? I'm thinking it's tomorrow now.
I've got a feeling it's tomorrow as well, to be honest. Which is not good news for me because I ain't coming in tomorrow.
Oh yeah, of course you are. You were saying.
Yeah.
So Ben ain't going to be here for the Frank announcement. They're waiting for Ben to go.
Yeah. I thought they were waiting for me to go for the Ange announcement as well, but they got it just in time.
Ben spending all day coming up with Thomas Frank songs.
Yeah. I'm going to be driving up to Manchester tomorrow, 3.5-hour drive. All I'm going to be doing is coming up with Frank songs. I think Ashley's going to be sick to the sight of me by the time we finish our journey.
Well, it's funny you say that. It was coming back from Manchester that we did the Lloris songs, so maybe it's the journey.
Maybe
it's the journey.
Yeah.
Rashid Atmani says, Ben, my bro, it's not a stick to beat him with, it's just a fact. Also, Brian saying Liverpool got beat by Plymouth is right, but with the under-17s.
Yeah,
it wasn't just the under-17s.
Liverpool had a very weak team out there. Very weak.
They did, but they like Thomas Frank, who
should be no excuse, right?
Should be no excuse.
Thomas Frank got heavily criticised for rotating his team to play a weaker team against FA Cup teams, which is another thing they use. He doesn't take cup competition seriously because, like I said, he was trying to get Premier League survival. That's not acceptable. But when you use Liverpool, and it's not against the guy that said it at all. But I'm saying the people that are bashing Frank for it, it's when you mention Liverpool, yeah, but they played the 17-year-olds. But when Frank rotates his team, well, why is he trying to go out the FA Cup early? But he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be a shame if it comes tomorrow, man. I want it to come today, man. I'm dying for this Frank appointment. This announcement, I mean. Are they going to come up with any funny way to announce it, or is it just going to be just boring?
You know that, do you know what? They've probably been listening. Can you imagine if they do something Thomas the Tank Engine theme?
Yeah, they might do, I think.
They might do arriving in platform N17.
Talking about what Spurs haven't done yet is that bloody documentary. Where's that documentary?
I don't think we're ever going to see it.
2 weeks ago, they said they're going to put it out.
I don't think they're ever going to see it.
Surely we're going to see it at some point.
Surely you remember a certain rumour that Simon Jordan and Daniel Levy documentary was coming out.
The interview,
yeah. And that seems to have...
that never happened.
Yeah. And I wonder why. I've got a feeling this is archived.
Man. They got all our appetites wet. They put that little trailer out. And everyone was just like, yeah, Ange is the man, Ange is the man. Look at this, it's going to make us all cry. How long after that? A week later, Ange was sacked, and then we're never going to hear anything about it ever again.
They won't, now that Frank's coming in, they won't want anything to kind of distract from his appointment kind of thing. Maybe it'll come out like with some way mid through the pre-season or something, I don't know. But I think right now we're not going to see it.
Maybe
I think, Simeon, they might bring it out on the year anniversary.
But he said coming soon, about a year.
That's how Spurs are.
Maybe if Frank has... What about if Frank has just like this amazing start to the season, wins like the first 3 or 4 games? I reckon they could bring it out then.
I'll tell you what, if they do bring it out, and they've got every right to, and everyone wants to watch it, when people see Ange's halftime team talks, everything, social media is going to be fun and games, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, social media will be an absolute war zone. We shouldn't have sacked him.
I'll tell you what, Brian. Someone put a montage on X yesterday of Ange, something to do with the final and the route to the thing with a backdrop of Adele's "Someone Like You," and it was one of the most emotional videos. I swear. Like, after that, I was watching it in the car, and after that, straight out, I went to Spotify and I played "Angels" from from Robbie Williams.
Subliminal messages got to you. They got to you. But no, I saw one as well that they did yesterday. I can't remember who it was, where it was like just reminiscing, like after the final whistle and the players going over to the fans and everything. Listen, it's an incredible moment. There's no getting away from it. It was one of the most, if not the most, incredible moment of me supporting Spurs.
Yeah, and we'll always have Ange to thank for that, for sure.
Correct. That I completely and wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah. I hope they do bring him back one day and he speaks to the fans at halftime or something like that. That would be great.
It would be. I mean, you look at there's him. That'd be sunny one day as well. Whether he goes this summer or not, when people like him come back, there's always going to be a warm reception. I think even if Ange came back, like you said, in a few years, there'll be a very warm reception for him.
No, Ange. There will always be a warm reception from Ange after that cup win, for sure.
How long before he has a half-time chat with Paul Coit?
That's what I was just saying. I'd love to see him back.
How long? I'm saying.
I don't think it'll be for some time.
10 years?
They'll wait until we're playing Brentford at home and losing at half-time. They go, I beat these guys all the time. This is what you did. What are you doing? Who knows? But I go back to, I hope he has a enjoyable rest right now or whatever he's doing with his family. Then when he's ready to come back into football, whether it be Premier League or whatever, wish him nothing but the best, unless he's playing in the Premier League. And then I just hope we beat him every single time.
Yeah. Even if he's managing in the Premier League and he comes back and as an opposition manager, he'll get a great reception.
Oh, he will. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I just remember the first time that Poch came back was when we lost to Chelsea, wasn't it? 4-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think he got a decent reception. But then by the end of it, we're just sick to the sight of him.
How do you think he's going to be in like interviews? Like, is he going to be like Poch, where he's always pining to come back, or is he going to be like Jose, where he's like really bitter?
Oh, that's a great question.
I don't think he'll be bitter. I think he's not like Jose. I think he'll speak well of us.
I think he'll speak well. Well, Jose speaks well of us. Like, do you remember when we got into the Champions when we won the cup?
Jose never misses an opportunity to slander us. Never.
No, he never missed a chance to slander Levy.
Fair point.
He never misses a chance to call out Daniel. He is very, very...
Mr. Levy Club.
Yeah. When he goes, when we got to the Champions League, it's the money and the revenue for Mr. Levy, and for the fans and the manager, it's a title. He will never stop gunning for Levy, and he will always mention the Spurs fans positively.
Yeah.
He is always going for the jugular.
It was interesting what he said after the Europa League final, because they asked him who did you want to win that game. Did you see that interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, at first I was thinking Man United, but then when I saw Sonny, first trophy for Tottenham, first trophy for Sonny, I couldn't really choose who I wanted to win. That was quite nice.
Yeah. He does speak very, very well of us, of his type. I mean, he won't speak well like we just said, but he never misses opportunity to talk about, especially the fans, and how good they were, which is wonderful to see.
Yeah.
What did you think, Brian, of what Mickey van der Ven was saying in his interview with the Dutch media, saying it was a peculiar decision to sack Ange, and Ange showed, winning that trophy, getting success here, the only one to do it. He's got a certain mentality, and it was a strange decision, he called it.
Yeah, do I agree on strange? I mean, as a player, and obviously being in the team and how the team felt about him, that's perfectly what you'd expect from the outpouring we saw. Would I say it was strange? I don't know. But again, it's another warning shot directed somewhere, isn't it?
Well, you got to say it was a strange decision, because at the end of that final, when we were speaking the weeks after and everything, we were all in agreement that saying Ange should remain after winning that trophy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that we were all feeling that way. I'm saying if the club looked at it league position wise
Yeah.
and heavily looked at it, then it's not strange, is it? If they want to look at it UEFA Europa League glory, then it is highly irregular.
Yeah. There was-
Like I said, I agree with you. If he had started the season and been given the summer, like you, Ben, and me and Stel, I would have been like, okay, let's see what he's got. Let's go with this. Let's back him. Let's see what happens. He would have been under immediate pressure. Like, whether it be him or Frank, they go into the season with immediate pressure.
Yeah. I think
Or if it didn't worse.
Ben Davis was also talking about the Ange sacking. I don't know if you saw those quotes, but
No, I haven't seen-
he said, from a player standpoint, you don't tend to have too much input into those decisions. For us, we read about the news as you did. As players, we have to move on and do the job that's in front of us, and no different this time. I mean, he didn't seem too moved about it.
Yeah, I mean, I just realised I had seen that. I just forgot that it was Ben Davies that said it. But that is what footballers do, isn't it? It's part and parcel of their job. Like we saw about it when in the documentary when Poch was gone and Jose came in. They're in the canteen eating, just like, okay, he's gone. Well, it's part and part of their careers, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's another super chat here from Adam_1882 says, a bit of a rogue one, but do you think Kane regrets his decision to leave now? Europa League is a bigger trophy than the Bundesliga at Bayern, right?
Again, I don't think he regrets it. I think he'll be looking like, could have won that Europa League for sure, but I think he's competing for titles in Champions Leagues every season at the top with all these world-class players around him. I think he's pretty comfortable where he is. I don't think he looks at Tottenham thinking, I wish I was still there.
Yeah, I agree with that, but there must have been some sort of emotional feeling when he saw Spurs winning that trophy, being like, you know what, I wish I was there. But I don't think he regrets it.
No, do you know what? Well, when you watch Harry Kane with things, he seems to be absolutely loving life in Germany. I mean, outside of football. Obviously, we all know Harry Kane, an incredible family man, was never in the papers for the wrong things. Training, work, home, family, kids. He seems to be loving life in Germany. Would he have loved to be on that pitch and be a part of Tottenham winning a trophy? Absolutely. I'm sure he had that feeling for a few minutes or whatever it may be, but I think he's not sorry for the decision he made.
Yeah, no, agreed. Well, 15 minutes to go, Brian.
My God, that flew by. That actually really flew by.
Yeah. The under-21 Euros has begun. I think France drew 0-0 with Portugal yesterday. Tel and Odegaard both starting the game. And I think England play tonight. Archie Gray's in the squad.
Yeah, that's just convinced me that the announcement's tomorrow. Because they'll tweet
why has
all
that
about
convinced
that.
you?
Because like I said to you, I thought, I forgot the under-21s were playing. I thought with all them tweeting about the internationals and everything, if they're going to tweet something, you see what they do on days like this. It's non-stop interviews, non-stop snippets, non-stop news. And I think tomorrow is Frank Day.
I don't think under-21's got any bearing on whether Frank's announced or not.
No, but they do not. I'm not saying that they'll tweet. If Spurs players are tweeting like they did with Tel, they'll have a day where it's clearly no interruptions apart from Thomas Frank stuff.
Yeah.
So I just, like I said, I could be wildly wrong, and knowing my luck in 15 minutes, it'll be, guess what? But if I had to put money on it, I would
Hashtag
say
announce Frank.
I think it would be tomorrow now.
Can everyone in the chat just send a hashtag over to Tottenham, hashtag announce Frank?
Yeah, just spam every single comment under Spurs' social media saying announce Frank. Maybe they'll do it.
Or Thursday equals Frank Day.
Frankie Thursdays.
But Joe, did you two feel, or did you feel a lot more relaxed once you got the here we go? Like, you know it's coming. It's just a case of, obviously, we want to know when. Since I heard the here we go, I'm like, right, fine, it's coming. The window, not that we were active at all in it, is closed till the 16th, yes, we can start making moves, and maybe Thomas Frank's already given a list of who he wants.
Well, Romano actually said that. He says that, targets, budget, staffing, all was agreed like last week or beginning of this week.
So there you go. So maybe plans are going on behind the scenes, but yeah, I've just got a feeling now that tomorrow is Frank Day.
14 minutes.
And you're going to miss it, Ben.
I'm going to miss it, yeah. I'm going to have to Euro and call in from the car while I'm working out all these songs. I'm going to have to come up with a banger by tomorrow.
Yep. Yep. You're going to have to. And do you know what? If there's anyone else going to have faith in being able to do it, it would be you.
Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure about that.
Bet I've been with you and just given you a one line, and then within 3 minutes there's a whole verse and a chorus. so I will think for sure that you could do it. You're up for the job.
We'll see. We shall see.
But with all the positive, there's been a lot of positive talk about Frank. But is there anything we're genuinely worried about? About why it might not work? There's a lot of...
Just when I thought you were going fully Frankish, you've just gone back.
There's 100 reasons why it can work. There's 100 reasons why it can work, but is there any reason why we think it might not work?
I've got 99 problems, but Frank came one.
I'm loving small Frank instead.
It's
Zen17 in the comments. Big up.
I just, like you said, there's no. You said before, there's just unknowns.
That's the only worry, yeah.
There's just unknowns. But again, we revert back to Poch. It was unknowns. Yes, he had one very good season in the Premier League with Southampton. But obviously, he hadn't managed in a European competition and had to juggle domestic tournaments. And look how that worked. I can't see. I can't. But again, I am incredibly biased. Incredibly biased.
I think the only worries is everything that's been relayed on this stream already. The going into the unknowns and also the ownership.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. Sim, can you?
He's really thinking. Like, come on, find something. Find something.
Well, I guess in terms of his way of playing, sometimes I feel I don't know if this applies to Frank necessarily, but I think sometimes when teams and managers are very adaptable, they adapt. Sometimes that can get lost in the team's kind of identity. And sometimes that leads to a struggle of perfecting any one way of playing. And sometimes when you're constantly adapting and you're constantly switching, you can struggle all of a sudden to come up against more settled teams who know that they have a way of playing and they stick to it. They can be a bit more kind of, that's their way of playing, and that means sometimes they know what they're doing a lot more, whereas the team that's constantly adapting, always changing, sometimes that can work against them, I guess, this would be the argument.
Okay, let me. I can't believe. So, Joe, what I'll say to that, for under previous managers, I've got not always understood why we're always looking at players that can play multiple positions or at least two positions. I'd be like, we need to find designated play. I understand, obviously, you can play. It gives you a bit more versatility, but I'd be like, we need certain players that are specialists in that position, because we're so weak. We haven't got any leaders or people you say, right, that is your first teamer, he's your one. Well, now we've got a lot of players that do play in multiple positions, and hopefully that can help with exactly what you said. These players know how to play in these positions, so should they change, yes, you're right, the tactics could change, but then these players are going to be more adapted and natural in those positions. Whether that helps in the Frank style, as in this is the instructions for you, but it's not going to be like Archie Gray where we've just said go in defence. You're not a defender. We've got players that can play left back and midfield, or right back and left back, and so maybe that's a benefit to actually the buying in, players with multiple positions that we've had in the past. Maybe this has come at the right time. My God, when I'm
I
on,
think it has.
my God, I don't have I entered some kind of parallel universe, because Sim has turned to me, I've turned to Sim. I don't know what I'm doing myself here. Levy, do something to piss me off. I need to.
It's a weird feeling, Brian.
We need normality restored, Brian. We need normality restored.
There's something in the air. Something is going on. Like I said, look at the smile on my face. I cannot. When have you? It's like literally the whole time. I just put it announced now, and we've got what, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. It was bang. It might not have been bang on, give or take a few minutes around 5, wasn't it?
What time was the Ange sacking announced? Can anyone tell us the exact time?
Well, you can
That's
probably
the thing.
see.
Well, when you do it on Twitter, it just goes to show you the date after a certain amount of time, doesn't it?
No, if you click
doesn't
into
show
it,
you the-
if you click into it, it says the exact times. Let's go back.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Here we go. Thank you, Ange. The exact time was 5:15. 5:13.
Wait, scroll up.
Yeah, but when did
There was another announcement before then.
yeah, who was the main man was it Matt Law
See?
that started it off, Sim,
this
when we were on?
And actually, the tweet before Ange was sacked was about Archie Gray, and the last tweet was about Archie Gray.
Yeah, I
We
just
put
saw
the statement on the website at 5:05.
Well, what I'm saying is there was a
What
tweet.
time was that tweet?
Well, Archie Gray,
No, above one. This one.
5:09. Archie Gray was tweeted out at 4:11 p.m. on June the 6th, and then we announced the Ange sacking on 5:09. The latest Archie Gray tweet was on 3:27.
I was about to say the conspiracy theories that have been going on this channel since the guy told you about the Brentford
It's been
Thomas
spot on.
Frank, mate.
That
The
conspiracy theory about Frank was absolutely bang on the money.
100%. 100%. So you never know. You never know.
We're going to have to give it till 5:15.
The statement on the website was at 5:05.
5:05. Okay.
All right, so that's 11 minutes.
So you're saying the website got it before social media?
That's what it says here.
All right, we're going to have to keep refreshing the website then instead of social media.
I think what you got, I loved it when I was watching back yesterday, because I didn't get to watch you live yesterday, when good old George, who's now part of the mod crew, said that he's watching you on 3 or 4 devices. So I think I could just see George now with all of the Spurs Twitter, Spurs website, everything, just refresh.
Come on, Tottenham.
Who do we think is going to be Frank's first signing?
Ooh. Frank's first. When do you think Frank's first signing is going to be?
I reckon we get one before pre-season.
Just one.
I reckon there's one in the first week when the window opens. I reckon a player comes in pretty much, not immediately, but the window opens the 16th, isn't it? Is that right? It reopens again for everyone till the end of the window. I think there's one. So the 16th, I will say, I reckon.
That's Monday.
So my birthday and anniversary is the Sunday. I reckon there's a signing before then.
Who will it
as
be?
A birthday and anniversary gift for my Frankaholicness.
Who will it be? Eze? Imagine we just said, bang, straight in with an Eze.
Mate, do you know what? That would be the best birthday and anniversary. My guy, but my manager in, my number 1 player in.
It's not fair. It's really not fair. Sim gets a Europa League win on his birthday. You're potentially going to get an Eze or a Frank well, you won't get the Frank. You're potentially saying, if you get the Eze announcement,
or any player,
I get a bloody Ange sacking.
It's karma, man. Karma.
Well,
He
what can we
wanted
say?
Ange out as well.
Yeah, but
Where's his
I
karma?
have to. No, nothing can ever eclipse what Simeon had for his birthday this year. Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, literally.
That was
I
the
mean,
best.
as well that it fell on a bank holiday weekend as well, away from Spurs.
Oh. Take me back,
Like,
Brian. Take me back.
Sim, put it this way, Sim. If you had had your birthday, or if I'd been with you and I was still drinking, we would still be out celebrating.
100%.
It
Still
wouldn't have
wouldn't-
ended
still
yet. We
wouldn't
would
have
have been the
slept.
bender of all benders.
You
Oh.
wouldn't even known Ange was sacked.
I wouldn't even remember we won the cup. That's how mad it would have been.
You'll be out celebrating. You just don't know what you were celebrating.
Yeah. Probably. That sounds about right. That sounded right. I will say to Fantasy Mutt McShane, yes, I do need to get a room with Thomas Frank. Yes, I do. I hold no bones against it. I am absolutely ecstatic. Let's do it.
Oh God.
Let's do it. Get ready, people of We Are Tottenham TV, for ecstatic, hyper, delighted, positive Brian all season long when it comes to football, but not so much when it comes to board. Jekyll and Hyde.
And we're all here for it, mate. We're all here for
Damn
it.
right. Damn right.
All quiet.
Oh, all quiet. Is it the calm before the storm? Plettigol just said United have officially entered the race to sign Hugo Ekitike.
Does that
Concrete
mean
has been made in concrete interest has been made in 48 hours, and interest is concrete. Contact has been made in the last 48 hours, and interest is concrete.
Does that mean
Is there
Gyökeres
any-
is going to Arsenal?
Who knows?
Anywhere but there. Anywhere but there.
Because there's been rumours about Gyökeres speaking to Arsenal in the last 24 hours. I really hope that that's not what it means.
That was the striker I wanted last season, as you know. If he ends up at that lot down the road, if he ends up at the filth, he's a goal machine.
Are they really going to spend all that money on Ekitike or Gyökeres, Mbeumo and Cunha? Are they really going to do that?
Ben, could the Ekitike bid, like we've seen before, as kind of a threat to Sporting to say, give us Gyökeres before we do this?
I think Sporting will be happy with that. They want to keep him. They're making it difficult for him to leave.
They're making it very difficult. But if I please Gyökeres, if you're going anywhere, go to United. Don't go down the road. Don't go from making me love you to making me hate you.
Gyökeres at Arsenal will be very bad news.
Yes. Yes, it will. Yes, it will be very bad news. So here we go. We're about to hit 5 o'clock.
We're about to hit 5. 5:05. We need to wait till 5:05.
5:05.
I'm going back to 5.
Do you know what? If it doesn't happen, then the run, the streak of us three being together, when big announcements have been made, have gone.
Yeah, this is going to be like when Spurs lost to Arsenal in the We Are Tottenham TV shirt.
This is not. Either we're right and our streak continues, or the uncertainty of Tottenham has come through right again, and the streak is broken.
Come on. Everyone send positive vibes. We need this to happen. We need this to happen.
It does.
5 o'clock.
Okay, people, here we go. 5-minute countdown. 5-minute countdown. To
I
see.
need to go toilet.
You're going to miss it, Sim.
I don't think so.
You're going to miss it.
I've just
Miss it? Huh?
Written that you can miss it.
Maybe me going is going to make it happen.
Baby, let's just try everything.
They're watching. Tottenham are watching the stream now. All right,
template.
Sim's off. Let's announce it.
Like, Sim hasn't been very frankish, so he doesn't get to share this moment. That's what it is, people.
Oh, come on. Oh, I'll laugh so hard if it happens right now.
Oh, could you? Could you?
I will laugh so hard if it happens right now.
It'd be brilliant.
Come on. Come on, Tottenham. Pull through.
Come on.
Pull through.
Come on, you Spurs. We're waiting for the Frank day.
Spurs are on their way to Frankish.
There we go. Mate, here we go. We're rolling. We're rolling,
Pastor
Ben.
Frankish, man. Pastor Frankish. What do you prefer, Pastor Frank or Rebbe Frankish?
Rebbe? Well, I'm actually thinking. I'm thinking of changing my
Rabbi
name to Brian
Frankish.
I'm changing my name to Brian Frank.
Brian Frank.
Well, I asked people, should it be Brian Frank or Thomas Daigle?
Thomas
And a lot of
Daigle
people
has a
said
good ring to it, mate.
Yeah, but Brian Frank is still two names, isn't it? Two first names and surnames.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with two first names as surnames. Speak
Yep.
from experience.
Yep. I've just had a mate of mine say, big up to Rico, said, if you guys are on stream waiting for the announcement, I'm all up for a 72-hour We Are Tottenham TV stream. Whilst we wait, big up to Rico.
If only, if only. So we're now on 2 minutes past. Nada.
Still nothing.
Radio silence.
God damn you, Tottenham. Always letting us down. What are you doing?
Always.
Surely, come on. Surely it's going to come. I do think, like I said, I think it's going to be tomorrow. But there's always a chance. There is always a chance.
Super chat here with, well, it's a super sticker of a cheerleader. Thank you very much for that.
What's that chant cheerleaders do? Give me an F. Give me an R. Give me an A. And so on and so on.
And what do you get? Frankish.
Woohoo! Let's share the pom-poms.
Oh, come on.
Tune in, same time, same place tomorrow. Can you imagine if they draw it out till Saturday?
Oh, my days. Just give us the announcement, man.
That's all we ask.
Exactly. Is it so much to ask to have the announcement right now?
While Simeon's gone.
Right now, we need it.
Come on,
Lock
notifications.
the studio doors. Lock the studio doors.
We're going nowhere, people. It's got to be. I'll tell you what, Ben, who do you reckon, who would you love to see us to have first game of the season?
First game of season?
Yeah.
Brentford.
Do you know what? I was watching Cowling yesterday before I popped on for 5, and he said something, and I was like, do you know what? He's not got a bad shout at this. I wouldn't mind Chelsea away.
Chelsea
And do you know
away?
why?
Because of
Do you
his
know why I
record
say
there.
Chelsea away? We have won once in our Premier League history there. Thomas Frank has been there 4 times and won 3.
Can you imagine Frank's first 2 games, winning the Super Cup and beating Chelsea
And
away?
then beats Chelsea. Mate, I mean, what's an induction?
Oh, that'll
And
be
I
the
think
best.
if you remember a few seasons ago, our first season at Wembley, we had Chelsea at home first game, didn't we? So we have got them
Yeah,
on opening days of the season.
yeah. We
Or
lost
was that
them-
after
it-
Newcastle? And then we played them first home
No,
game?
I think it was the first home game.
There you go. But could you imagine that if it was Paris Saint-Germain win the European Super Cup and then go away to Stamford Bridge and beat Chelsea?
You know, whatever way you slice it, it's not bad. Because even if we lose or whatever, it's just that game's out of the way.
Exactly. It's done, it's dusted. At least it's a nice hot day rather than going there midweek in February.
Yeah, last time I went to Stamford Bridge when it was a hot day was that day. It was absolutely baking that day, and we drew 2-2, and Kane scored in the last minute with
With the Conte and Tuchel ruck.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, I've been to Stamford Bridge once, and that was with you, and never again.
Yeah, it's not the greatest of places, not going to lie. So
No.
it's 5 past, and we've got nothing.
But now you got the worry that if you end it, it gets announced straight after.
The amount of times we've been waiting for stuff to break in this, and we're like, all right, it's not happening today. We get in the car halfway back home from the studio, it like kind of breaks on our phones, which are like,
What's been the biggest one?
I can't remember off the top of my head what it's been. I think it's like mainly been like signings, and I can't remember who though. It has happened though, a few times.
That's got to be so frustrating.
KPV says, "Go home, Ben."
You've been told. You have been told. I just got a Sky Sports notification thinking, oh my God. And it was let me know that Rory McIlroy just hit a monster 392-yard drive.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please.
Just the news that we're after.
Yeah. I got very excited when I saw that the breaking news. Yeah, there's nothing.
6 past. Today's done, man.
Today's done. It's tomorrow.
Today is done and dusted.
Today is definitely done. It's not happening today, people, I don't think.
But is it?
You just never, ever know with this football club.
Because we'd lost all hope of Ange or getting an announcement on the manager whether he was going to stay or go. We'd lost all hope, and then suddenly just everything just started going mad. Is that going to happen today? I don't know.
Do you know what we should have done for a laugh? We should have pretended that it's been done when Simeon walked back in.
Don't
That's
worry,
what we
he's
should have
locked
done.
into social media, mate. He would have known before us.
That's a good point. That's good. He's probably watching the stream and heard me say that. Heard me say, let's pretend to Simeon that it's all gone through and done.
You can no fooling me, Brian.
Mate, I know this is you're king of the castle here. I'm just I'm just a mere servant here in this world.
What else is going on?
Nada.
Nothing. Everyone's just gearing up for the announcement.
Yep. Everyone, I think, every 2 days or every day has been, as you guys have titled this stream, Spurs set to announce. And they're like, oh, you think we are? Well, we'll pull back another 24 hours.
They're saying it's they're going to announce it on Friday the 13th.
Oh, good. Lyle Thomas has done an update. What's he said? The fact that it's taken a few days to work out, though, which members of staff will join Thomas Frank at Tottenham and who will stay is a testament to the togetherness and loyalty they have built at Brentford. Not an easy decision for anyone to leave, and some tough conversations. Tottenham are now close to agreeing compensation with Brentford for Thomas Frank. Still the future of several backroom staff to be decided, but progress expected.
God, no, he's
that's
so
an old
behind.
one.
Oh,
That's
right.
an old one.
Okay.
But it did say 1 out of 2, so I'm guessing the second tweet hasn't been sent out yet.
You know what? Like the board, this is getting away from Tottenham, but this is Tottenham starting like a domino rally effect now for so many teams, isn't it? Because if you're taking so much of the backroom staff, the next manager comes in, whoever it may be at Brentford, will that team allow their full backroom staff to follow them, or will it be it sets off like when you're buying a house, doesn't it? It sets off that chain. A lot of teams are going to be impacted by the backroom staff that we're taking, because now Brentford have really got, unless they've got people within that they're just going to promote, but there's a lot of people they're going to lose, aren't there?
Yeah, for sure. Another super chat here from Joey Boy saying, Sim is the living meme of Wolverine holding the picture frame.
He's not the first person who said that, you know.
Is he not? Sky Sports saying tomorrow, apparently.
Sky Sports are.
That's what someone just said in the comments.
So, it looks like it will be. I think as far as major Spurs breaking news on the manager announcement, it is tomorrow.
Yeah. I guess we should just leave it at that today then. I think it's over. It's done for today.
But that does mean there's a lot of fun and enjoyment to have tomorrow.
Well, great. I won't be here.
You won't, Sim, do you need help tomorrow?
Yeah.
Give me
I
a
do.
call later, we'll sort it out.
Nice one, Brian. I need that
We'll
smile when Frank's announced.
Oh, mate, I'm going to be the ray of sunshine to your dark cloud. We'll sort it out. But yeah, you guys know if you need me, you got me always. So yeah, no problem.
Lovely. All right. So I guess we'll just leave it there. But Brian, thank you for coming on for this extended period.
Always a pleasure, my brothers. The fact that I got told by people in Ben Kaufman's chat that you guys were looking for me, I was like, what the hell is going on in this world? And then obviously I saw you'd messaged me. But no, it's always a pleasure with you two and everyone in the chat, as well as I think it's Sammy in the background. So big up to Sammy, Mason Mount's biggest fan. I will see you later on, people. And Thomas, Frank, Thomas, Frank.
Big up to Brian. And yeah, I think that's it from us today. Back tomorrow for the Frank announcement. Tomorrow is most definitely Frank Day. No one can tell me otherwise. But big up to all of you out there. See you. Well, I'll say see you. Sim will see you all again tomorrow. And like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
Come on, you Spurs.